Make it better, kind of. Yeah. That's good enough. Well, goddamn. There we go. Hey, bye. What's up, sweet little Zukov? You're such a goof. There you go. Oh my god. Well, what in the oh, okay. Let's got madness going on here. That's just nice. That's nice. Ugh.
So you weren't busy today, but...
I mean, like, we were, like, a couple times here and there, but it's so much more manageable when you have 3 people. So. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really, like, too bad. It was mostly, like, the morning when I was still feeling like shit that really was kind of grabbing my gears. Because fucking, Morning Sandwich Lady, like, the new girl that was there, like, she fucking pretty much, like, kind of flipped her shit over, like, the most benign fucking thing over the fact that we don't put the hot case windows back on. You know, once we're done, you know, pulling everything and wiping down shit. And it's like, I'm sick of tired of having to, like, put those back every morning, and, you know, it's not even part of my job, and I'm just like...
You were gonna fucking deli.
That...
Get over it.
And also, she doesn't exactly keep her sandwich bar stocked or the actual case out on the floor stocked. So it's just like, you want to fucking, like, get... I mean, it's just more of the tone, more so than just, like, the actual of, like, hey, can you just, you know, maybe make the morning slightly easier for us by just doing this one little thing? You know, just be nice about it. Be like, alright, I'll try to, you know, consider that, you know, while I'm trying to close up and shit, but not even that. It was just immediate, like, I'm sick and tired of it. It's like immediately, like right off the bat.
Since we don't make sandwiches anymore, we keep sandwiches in our case.
Yeah.
They're done every fucking morning. Every morning. They're done.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, and I can tell that she does do them, but it's just like, I mean... How many are you actually doing if you're, like, because if I'm seeing you do these many Sammys, but there ain't none out here, evidently there's, like, you know, something there. Like, I mean, there's no way that people are just buying, like, that many fucking sandwiches, like, within a course of a couple hours. Like, I mean, it's not like it doesn't happen, but every fucking day? I mean,
what happened at my work one day, fucking this girl, she works there, and she's like, oh, I need stuff for 5 days. I'm gonna buy the rest of your fucking sandwiches, except for the fucking wrap. I'm like, okay. Because after 3 o'clock, everything's discounted.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sandwiches are discounted after 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So basically, by the time I leave, everything's fucking discounted, so.
Yeah, but it was just like, what the hell? But yeah, and also it's just more or less this weird hypocrisy too of just like, it's not a part of my job to deal with this thing, where it's like, yeah, you are part of, like, you know, it's like, yeah, you might be, you know, scheduled to be the sandwich bar, like, you know, prepper and all that type of shit, whatever the fuck, but like, at the bottom line, you're still a deli clerk. Like, that's what you are at the bottom, and, you know, at the end of the day. So if there's, like, other shit that needs to be attended to, that maybe, like, that isn't there to fill it.
It takes 2 minutes out of your fucking day to put windows in.
Not even that. It takes less than, like, 30 seconds to put those suckers in.
Yeah.
And also, like, I mentioned to Lucas, he's just like, yeah, don't even worry about that. Like, I don't want them in there. Like, when I'm here cooking and stuff. Like, when I'm cooking, I don't want them in there. It's like, no, I don't know why she's popping off. He was just straight up like, why is she even popping off about that? Like,
well, we gotta get everything in the fucking case in the morning.
Yeah. And having those windows not there just makes it a little easier, and plus, you know, it doesn't really fuck with the routine that much.
Yeah.
You know, once you get it filled up, then you want to put the windows on, because then at that point, now you're trapping the heat to keep it all warm.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, like, the first thing in the morning is like, are we serious? Like, it's like, good lord. I mean, if I wasn't, like, you know, feeling all groggy or whatever the fuck like I was, you know, today, like, at least early in the afternoon, I would have, like, probably honestly said something and be like, excuse me? like over, it's like over, a couple of little like damn windows where it's like, especially yesterday was pretty fucking nuts. And the first thing you want to say for me is not even a hey or hello or anything like that. It's just like, what the fuck, and I'm sick and tired of like having to put these windows back in here every damn morning and blah blah blah. It's just like,
shut up.
Yeah, like, I want to shut up, and it's like, do I know you? Like, I mean, frankly, it's like, excuse me?
Seems like you have somebody who thinks they're all high and mighty.
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Definitely, definitely kind of put me under my gears a little bit today and shit. Put me on a little sourness, because it's like, I mean, it wasn't even, again, the fact of just, like, her just being like, hey, can you, like, maybe, be more up on that. It's just literally the whole demeanor of how she just went about it. She basically just went on, like, the most, how do I purposely, like, antagonize this person about this as, like, quickly as possible, pretty much, over it. And if I was just a little bit more cognizant of being like, what, instead of just processing in there the entire time, being like, I'm still waking up, oh my god, just...
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna lay down. I gotta get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll make sure that door's closed. Hey, baby. Okay. Sukov is secured. Secure the inside and outside. Yay. Anyway, but yeah, it's fucking work today, dude. Just fucking. It wasn't even like busy or anything either. We actually had 3 people today. Polar opposite and everything else. It was literally like the first fucking hour today that was just like, what the fuck. And also, my other closer forgot to snag his side of the garbage, so he kind of got a little bit of a hit for it. I mean, he was understanding about it. He was like, oh shit, that was, like, just like, bad mistake on my part, whatever. And they were chill with it, so they're just like, yeah, just make sure you do one more sweep and make sure that, like, a PIC is walking through and stuff like that, it's just blah, blah, blah. I mean, if anything, all in all, I'm actually just kind of happy that there is at least some more communication. And there actually is, like, a chain of communication going on now about shit. I at least like that. Though, I guess on, the downside is that it puts literally everybody on fucking edge. Including me, honestly. Because it's just like, yeah. I mean, I was about to kind of pop off on, one of my workers today. Or at least one of my coworkers and shit. And she's definitely someone who don't take no shit either. And it's just like, that would not have played well. That would have been bad. Because it's just like, it's just over the most dumbest fucking thing. Over like hotcase windows. It's like, I can get if they're like ridiculously dirty and all that shit and being like, yo, what the fuck. But just because they're on the counter and they're not put back on the, it's like, just shut up. It's like, I mean, let the cook handle it then. Like, when they come in. I mean, shit, it's not, like, your job specifically, but, especially if that's the case, so don't worry about it. It's like, I mean, it's like fucking, like, just, felt like just straight up, like, just wanting to just be like, spew, like, fuck you, just energy without basically being fuck you. At least trying to find an excuse to basically say fuck you to someone without saying it. And it's just like, alright, well, I guess I pissed in your cereal at some point today. Being all, like, low-key kind of just straight up cunty over it. It's like the only thing she said, too, was just basically pop off at me and then just, like, go put some Sammys away or on the floor, like, 4 of them. And then she went back, made, like, another 4 or 6, and she's like, alright, done with my stuff, I'm heading out. And it's just like, that case is emptier than shit, and I'm supposed to believe that, like, you want to, like, get at me for not doing my shit? It's like, yeah, you did your shit, but it looks like you literally did the most bare minimal. Well, at least, like, you know, yeah, I might miss a thing here or there, but the shit that I am hitting, I'm not doing bare minimal. At least not bare bettable to where it kind of fucks everybody. Oh god, that felt great. Oh. I guess what really just gets me is more of the, like, hypocrisy of it more than anything. Where it's just like, oh, you know, it's like, I'm gonna try to, like in my room is saying, being kind of more high and mighty and shit, and trying to, you know, be all that, when you really aren't. It's like, it would be one thing if you actually were, but it's like, come on. Like, at least, especially as an afternoon, evening person, having to deal with the sandwich bar during that time when they're not there, it's literally, like, beyond chaotic because of how unstocked it is, and the fact that we just basically have to close shit early due to the fact that there ain't nothing really in there. How the fuck you're supposed to, like, you know, do someone sandwiches, and then get, like, you know, a line start building up, you know, from, like, meat counter, salad, and so on and shit, and then not have it stocked, where you have to, like, go run over to the meat counter, cut some meat up and shit, and then sometimes the meat counter customers that are waiting will legit get confused and think you're ready to help them, and then you have to explain to them really quick, and then they start getting impatient, being like, well, god damn it, I just want, like, one thing. And it's just like, if you're already helping someone, you can't just stop helping one person, you know, to help another. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, I guess unless the customer is like, yeah, that's fine, you know, unless they are like, well, do that. I'm just not gonna do that. You know, I'll let them know and be like, hey, you know, you know, once I'm done here, I'll, you know, hit down the line and get to you, you know, as the next person in line here. You know, it's just like, it's because what can you do? I mean, honestly, at least especially if it's only two people during the day, like, that shit's just gonna be closed by the time, you know, the cook or the, you know, assistant manager leaves. Because, like, once we start dealing for our lunches, literally we can't have it open and maintain, you know, the front. Yeah, because at that point, the counter starts getting built up because they're spending, like, 3 minutes, give or take, or maybe more, make it a Sammy. Or 2. Or 3. God forbid 4 or more. But nonetheless, and it's just like, I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal if it was at least stocked up, and also fresh stuff too. Because there's been a lot of times that there'll be things that have been in there, and I could tell they're starting to get a little fermented. Like onions that are starting to not really be, like, you know, firm and crunchy anymore and shit like that, or tomatoes that are legit just full on soggy and whatever, instead of just, you know, plump and firm, even though they're in the juice still and stuff. It's just like, every now and then I'll just be like, nope, not gonna use that. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know what it might be for the morning and what they have to deal with, especially when it comes to that type of shit, but, like, I mean, it's just like, you know, we got our shit, we have our reasons, it's just like, and obviously you do too, for, you know, whatever reason why your shit isn't always kept up, you know what I mean? So it's just like, how about instead of, like, you know, being so feminist about shit like that, and trying to be more higher and mighty about everything, act more, you know, collective with it, work, you know, more like a team-wise with this type of shit, where you want to, you know, like, you know, be like, hey, you know, there's one element about my, you know, work crew or my, like, you know, my work team that's not exactly, you know, being, like, you know, up to par or whatever, you know, let's help bump them up instead of tearing them down. Like, what, do you expect them to, you know, improve just by, like, you know, being feminists or tearing them down and shit? Like, no. Because guess what? Those windows are back in that fucking hotcase, because frankly, as long as they were wiped down and nice and clean looking, I don't give a shit. It's just like, it's not a big fucking deal. And the cook is cooking tomorrow literally said, I don't want those in there. So, I'd rather, you know, deal with the person whose main priority is the hot cases and listen to what they want, versus the sandwich bar person who, you know, it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, you got to deal with, you know, the whole department, but you're supposed to be focusing with that shit. And evidently, you think you have to be doing everything else. Thus, nothing else gets stocked and nothing else gets, put on the floor and shit, or at least very little, because you want to basically try to be higher and mighty doing everything else. It's like, do your shit first. Like, you're scheduled for the prioritization of the sandwich bar area as your shift. Deal with that shit first, and once it's stocked up and everything else, and at least as much as you can, or at least what you can, and then as, day goes on, stock up what you need, and have some, ready for tomorrow too, even, so you don't have to make as many the next day. Like our old sandwich lady, she legit would make a fuckload of them, like in an insane amount, and would have like the little fridge at the sandwich board just full of them. So she wouldn't have to make as many the next day. So it's just like, I mean, come on. It's like, I mean, and I know they're not understaffed, as much during the morning. Not like us in the afternoon and evening, so I know it ain't that. It's like, I know everyone's got specialized, like, productive, or slash, like, production duties that they need to be dealing with, so sometimes, especially when customers come up, shit gets, dragged on. But, like, what do you think, the assistant manager's there, or why do you think, at least when a cook isn't, immediately, like, making something, you can get them out, because at the end of the day, you're still a deli clerk. I mean, it's like, I can get that, that's a reason. That's the reason for me too. So it's just like, fuck. It's like, I don't know. It's like, really, it's just all about, like, I don't know, like, work with it and figure it out type of shit. It's just like, yeah, because some days are going to be nice and smooth and shit, and some days are going to be fucked. But don't take it out on everybody in your own department. It's just fucking ridiculous. Because I mean, there's like, some of this, from last night at least, there definitely was a couple things missed here and there and shit. Though, like, the entire communication about it, when it came to, like, either assistant manager or, like, a PIC or something like that was, more about not tearing down, but being like, hey, and, like I get, last night, blah, 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 it's just like, just want to make sure, you really keep up with these things, blah, 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 because of X, Y, and Z. And, and obviously, like, I don't want y'all getting fucked over because of, something stupid like that, blah, blah, blah. So, it's, if anything, it's trying to bring you up to be like, hey, if anything, I don't want to see you, be fucked over something dumb like, forgetting garbages last night or something, Yeah, so it's just stupid. It's just unnecessary just stress, honestly. It's like, we need less of that shit, thank you. I'm just honestly, like, I kind of feel reassured a little bit, with our store director, because I was kind of nervous hearing about, like, a lot of people getting, not a lot, but, like, a decent amount of people have been written up, or at least 3 fired and shit, and I kind of had, like, a little, but, I mean, all in all, I think she's just, realizing who are legit weak links and need to just be, addressed, like, immediately, more so, things that, need to kind of be boosted up, into things that are unable to, keep up or lag behind from that, be more, immediately changed or something, so. In a lot of ways, I mean, she seems like she has at least, like, a kind of a benefit of the doubt mentality about, a lot of different things, at least for right now. Just because she's still kind of new and she actually legitimately wants to kind of, help improve and, fix things up a little bit. Which, honestly, I think I've noticed getting a lot more busier because of that. At least way more so in the last couple months. And even despite, a lot of random bullshit, even, our other PIC, tonight, he was saying, it's like, yeah, even, with all the other bullshit aside, it looks a lot better than it has in, like, 2 months ago and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, honestly, Star-wise, too, in general, it's just better. So, at least, luckily, at this point, it's just more small, banal, nonsensical bullshit that tends to be kind of the drama, or just the nonsense, more so than just the same shit, different day, I guess. Because this time, there's always at least some different bullshit this time. Different day, but hey, at least there's some different bullshit. So, I can at least get with that. I mean, that's something. At least for me. I'd rather have, like, more spontaneous, like, you know, just something happens and shit. Because it's more like, oh, well, alright, time to just adapt to this. Instead of just the same shit different day and just expecting it. Because, I mean, that's just like, oh god, same fucking garbage is gonna be blah 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 and la la la. You know, manager ain't gonna give a fuck and la 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 and all this other shit. But, you know, at least at this point, it's more like, I wonder what's gonna happen today. Is it gonna be crazy busy? Is it gonna be kind of slow? You know, this thing's actually gonna be kind of chill. We're gonna have like a new person because this is about, you know, getting some new people here pretty soon as well. So, you know, at least now it's a little different, which I like. I can at least dig that. But anyway, let's kind of see what's on the tube here. At least what's kind of on the immediate homepage and shit. Oh my god, I'm actually getting recommended PragerU now because I saw that fucking Herbert Hoover video the other night. Oh my god. Gross. Like, god damn it. I really don't want to be recommended fucking PragerU. I'm at least also getting recommended a more perfect union, too. How the Biden administration stick on union busters. I'm pretty sure that probably has to do with the NLRB in a lot of ways. Because, I mean, I guess that's one thing about Biden. I mean, even though it's like mostly half-measure shit still, I mean, he is legit got more of at least a more friendlier stance with workers and unions. I wouldn't necessarily say pro-union or pro-worker, but just more friendly with them. So, you know, so he's more of like, you know, neutral, but like, yeah, what's up, Jack, you know, type of neutral. Where he's like, he's gonna kind of be buddy-buddy for you, you know, as an acquaintance type of thing, more so than like, yeah, my friend, you know, type of shit. But hey, I mean, I honestly would rather have that than just like, fuck the union, you know, type of shit, so. I mean, it's at least like one of the rare things I can at least look at this fucking administration right now and be like, alright, that actually isn't bad. Because it really isn't. I mean, a lot of the labor movement on the rise right now, and a lot of these newer unions like Trader Joe's United, you know, Starbucks United, and these other ones, like a lot of them are being propped up a lot of ways because they're also winning legal battles via the NLRB. So, I suppose I can at least give, you know, Biden that. He puts some decent people that are actually legit, fairly friendly with workers. So it's just like, yay, I mean, that's something. Now pass the pro back, you motherfucker. Like, push that shit, you son of a bitch. Because that would actually be really good, too. Then at that point, I could actually maybe make an argument about him actually being friendly, you know, with workers at that point, at least to an extent. Even if it is quarter half measure shit still. Because honestly, like, what was like the last, like, kind of genuine, or at least, even if it's like half measure shit, like, kind of pro-worker type of president? Basically, since Reagan, there really hasn't been. Honestly, there really hasn't been since fucking Reagan. Like, Like, I kind of want to maybe say, like, Obama kind of maybe, but, like, I just don't know his full record specifically about, like, workers' rights shit, and I guarantee you it's probably not good. So, I'm reluctant to even, think, he's a possible option there, so. Like, honestly, like, ironically, probably Nixon, because he actually did push, like, some kind of like despite vocally and at least as a politician being like anti-worker or whatever the fuck he did, like at least in today's standards would be legitimately like left cut pro-worker legislation through as president, weirdly enough. Not a lot, but he did push a few things, so, and the EPA as well. So honestly, like, weirdly enough, I think I actually honestly might be Nixon. Just even with his fucking shitty flaws and shit and being kind of traitorous and shit, kind of a mafia thug bug. Like, honestly, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, by today's standards, like, Republicans would basically think Nixon would essentially be a Democrat. Like, if Nixon was, like, pretty much, like, cloned and put into today, just as he is, just with everything about him the same. Like, he would basically just be seen as a more, like, moderate Dem or some shit. Like, he just would, or, like, at this point. More, like, pro-worker maverick-esque kind of, but not really, moderate Dem guy. Yeah, it's like gross. Basically, like, I don't want to like say mansion. Probably something less feminist. Well, just as feminist, but not so overtly. Probably like a Schumer or something. Oh, honestly, probably more like a Pelosi. Oh, definitely like a Pelosi. Apparently, like, there's like some shit that happened with her or something. Apparently, China, like, said something about, like, yo, we want to, like, do something about, like, Pelosi going to Taiwan or something like that. Or whatever the fuck. And did she? I don't even know all the deets to it. I'm just like, I keep hearing these things like in the last day or two. Because I guess there's just more tension de-escalation tension escalation going on, over there with China, Taiwan, U.S. again. So it's like, oh god. And why is that mummy going there? Why is that Egyptian like mummy going over there? It's just like, oh god. Here. Oh, you know what? We'll check out the human support. I always know you always love to upload shit for today. Oh boy. Conservative movement to rewrite the U.S. Constitution gains momentum. And big donors. Wait, I thought these people were all traditionalists. And all, like, constitutional literalists, or whatever the fuck. Or it's like, the word Constitution is written directly in stone there, brother, tell you what. It's written right in stone. It's like, huh? I I mean, now seeing this new revelation of you all literally want to fucking rewrite it, it's like, huh, interesting. So far for that, like, how dare these weird Democrats try to fucking, rewrite the Constitution and infringe on that shit like the Second Amendment, brother. Try to take away our face pages, but also they want to, like, be like, wait a minute. Yeah, let's do that whole, like, writing up, rewriting the Constitution and stuff. Let's try to do that. It's like, huh. So they basically want to, like, just rewrite the entire Constitution, probably into your weird theocratic, fascistic fucking, fever dream shit. And pretty much force everyone to, abide and live under the equivalent of, like, 10 Commandments rule or some shit. It's like, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that'll very heavily backfire. Mainly for a lot of the same Christo-fascist types and shit, where they're just like, oh yeah, let's just, like, rewrite this shit, and just like, that's totally, it's totally something we've always advocated for, right? Nowadays, yep. And they were Christo-fascists or, well, Christo-fashioning.
I want to talk about the threat that the Republican Party poses to democracy. It's been kind of a common theme on the show lately.
Karen saying, this show don't cost too much. I mean, honestly, like, that's just most people. Like, it's not even Karens that complain about that anymore.
To democracy in a multitude of ways. Some of them just outright reject the results of the 2020 election. Some of them are explicitly anti-democracy. Mike Flynn, Trump's national security director, actually said that there's no reason why we couldn't have a Myanmar-style military coup here in the United States. If Trump...
Can we just have a Benito Mussolini treatment of Michael Flynn here in the United States if he wants to try to do a military style, or at least advocate that, like a Myanmar military coup, then, well, surely, this could be something that can also be advocated. This one was a Karen. She was expecting that self-checkout person to change the price for her. Wow. Yeah, that person's being a Karen.
Who knows what he'll do? He's already detailing his radical plan to purge civil servants from government in order to install Trump loyalists. Now, this is the hallmark of authoritarianism, because dictators, once they seize power, that's the first thing that they do. And Supreme Court justices who are supposed to be apolitical pose perhaps the greatest clear and present threat to democracy with the case of Moore v. Harper, where they will possibly allow...
Speaking of Christian fascists, the State Police Accountability Board literally decided that sexual assault could be nuanced and shouldn't be grounds for firing. What? Like, what nuance is there to fucking sexual assault? Like, what? It's like, hey, I kind of got sexually assaulted, thus, it's a sexual assault. Like, what? Like, there isn't exactly that much nuance to it. Also refused state penalties for police joining extremist organizations. And this is like our state. Oh my. I'm like, oh my god. I mean, like. Oh, here. Yeah. Draft rules to govern police conduct in Oregon leave a lot to wiggle room. And the proposed rules now available for public comment. Only unjustified, excessive, or deadly force that results in serious injury or death would result in the officer's immediate termination. Problem is, they added a bunch of sheriffs and union reps to the board. If you have a bunch of, like, cop reps and then a bunch of fucking cop sheriffs just basically being like, yeah, we'd like to kind of oversee about what this is about. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some fucking problems. People who didn't have vested interest objected. Well, no, of course. The buzz or sexual part. What? Huh? Another member of the commission retorted that it would be sexual harassment, not assault. I'm pretty sure, especially if there's like physical contact being made, I'm pretty sure that would be considered like assault if you don't like it and don't consent to that. Well, at least, you know, like, Mackler and like 7 other people at least have a brain in their head. It's like, yeah, it's voted against. Well, wait. Voted against. Oh, never mind. Never mind. They don't. They don't have a brain in their head. Like, what? It's like what? Like, there are things like the same minor absence of intent that could come into play or degree of harm. At least 7 of the 13 are pro-cop. Yeah, which are basically just these people then. Like state of mind or absence of intent. Just Jesus, that's so fucking stupid, dude. Goal was to have clarity. Well, evidently there is no clarity to it there, isn't there? It's about these submissions and how this. Okay, well. Good lord. Honestly, not surprised. I mean, leave it to, like, you know, the cops and shit to basically just be like, hey, you know, we want to make sure that we basically just have, like, any, you know, vested power, you know, and any, you know, pretty much, like, in anything and everything around here. So, yeah, we just are just going to be able to, like, use our fuck you money and our over, you know, influential representative power to just basically, you know, dictate the rules of, you know, how things work for ourselves. Yeah. It's like, normally I'm all in favor of, like, workers, you know, dictating, you know, a very strong influential process, you know, to the democratic process in general, but cops have never exactly been in favor of the worker. There is, you know, there is, you know, a work out there that would be considered class traitorous, and I think being a cop is one of them. Did to suppress labor? That's my point. Because, I mean, if the whole idea that, especially growing up, you know, is being sold that they're supposed to protect and serve the community, then they're kind of doing the worst job ever about it. Especially the serving part. It's like a serving a community, you know, as a peace officer walking your beat or whatever the fuck, you know, should also imply like, hey, you know, if somebody, you know, might need some, you know, quick basic assistance, like, oh shit, you know, my fucking, you know, tire got slashed or some shit, then it's like, alright, well, obviously you can't just, like, immediately change the tire. I'm sure the person probably doesn't have a spare. But, you know, let's say they do. I mean, well, might as well serve the community, you know, take it like 10 minutes out of your day, help out, you know, a tire change or some shit. I mean, it's not like, you know, something expected, but it should, like, I mean, if the whole premise of protect and serve the community, I mean, especially if you want to try to gain, or at least right now, really regain trust in the community, you know, doing, like, more smaller tasks that, you know, kind of imply the whole serve part of the, you know, of that motto, you know, would probably go a long way, honestly. You know, on top of actually hiring people in police departments that actually have not just live in the towns that they're going to be, you know, just like living there, but they have to have lived there for at least like minimal 5 years. You know, like how, you know, if you want to run for governor or like, you know, a representative, you know, in government in a state or some shit, you have to have been living there for some time. Same thing for a cop. Like, if you want to be a cop for a town or some shit, well, do you have an address there? No? Well, go be a cop in your own town then, bud. Or move here and live here a while, and then you could be a cop. Because then living here a while and taking the time to get familiarized with the town, the community, and the people there, can give you more of a sense of understanding and familiarity with the place. Instead of just being some outsider, just looking, at, a community of people you frankly don't give a fuck about because you don't live there or know them. So, there should at least be, like, a minimal standard of, like, how long someone as a police officer has lived. What should it read further? Some cop essentially advocating police violate state law. Oh my god, okay, hold on, let's go back. Even if the officers don't, quote, take action. Wait, what? Hold on, where would that be? Remember that part says further down, huh? Oh, it's probably starting here, huh? Michael Lawson, Chief Counsel of Oregon Department of Justice Criminal Justice Division. Why is there two justice in the whatever? And Commissioner Kocher tinkered with the word and removed physical force. Ultimately, a commissioner said an officer should be fired for unjustified or excessively deadly force causing serious or injury or death. The minimum number required to pass. Like Confederate tribes of Ultimilla and any rest for so. Blah, blah, blah. Wait, what? Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation Police Chief. That totally sounds like a native name too. Timothy Adelman. That definitely doesn't sound like the whitest fucking name I've ever heard. Timothy Adelman. Oh my good lord, bro. Bruh. Jesus Christ. John Teague. If an officer uses unjustified or excessive physical force, this is anything other than a deadly force. They could prevent mitigating factors and potentially keep their job. Huh? I'm pretty sure using physical force can also imply deadly force as well. It's Tocqueville, even Williams, the former WSB regional president, supported the less severe penalty. He told OPB he's a pragmatist and that if these changes are going to be impactful, it's important that there be a consensus. Oh my god. One of the discipline staff, look at ways. Sexual assault, deadly force, these are things that have been put in front of us, especially these three issues are persuasive across the country. And Oregon is not in any way unique. If an officer intentionally targets someone based solely on a protected class such as their race, ethnicity, national origin, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, or housing status, the default discipline should be termination, the commissioner said. But with the assault, an officer can prevent mitigating circumstances. We need to worry more about illusion of decorum rather than real-world impact. This whole thing's a fucking sham. Dude, it is a sham. It's just fucking bullshit. It's just the same liberal idea of, like, see, we did something, when, because to them, fundamentally, at the end of the day, decorum and civility matters more than, actual real-world impact and shit. Because, if you're not civil about getting things done and being a pragmatist and being, someone who's willing to compromise, it's just like, then you're pretty much, seen as a loon. Or, crazy radical or some shit. That's why I fucking detest libs, dude, because they basically just, enable and continuously, just go along to get along with a lot of these fucking fascist shitbags on the right. I guess there's not ever lawyer, but I mean, frankly, especially when it comes to a lot of these hyper-centrist, like, neoliberal fucks, this is just what they do. This is just them, in a nutshell. I know this is the more, like, social democratic, element of, like, liberalism and shit, but, at that point, that's just a separate thing. At that point, that'd just be, well, a social democrat. Which I guess is liberal, but you're pretty much you're more or less bordering it, you're not really, or that. So it's just like, ugh. Just don't be that. Just don't be a lib. Because essentially at that point, you're essentially just like a little, dork that, wants to look like you're doing something and shit, but frankly just are willing to be okay with, just playing along to get along with, the fucking far-right, conservative movements in this shit. Enough people demand tougher standards so the commission be compelled to adopt them. Maybe some people. Not all of them, but I think some people probably would. I mean, if it was, definitely a lot of critiques about, a lot of this stuff, especially if it's open to public comment, then, yeah, they're more or less likely are going to have to at least, do something, to change it a little bit. Because I know, like, this is probably going to be seen on r/Portland, r/Oregon, and spread around, the internet sphere, social media to an extent. So, especially with this whole, like, women's rights and abortion rights, being a major fucking thing that's being targeted in all these fucking various right-wing states and shit, and these Republican ran states. I mean, it just kind of also shows that even outside of Roe v. Wade, that women's rights, well, not just women's rights, but just like, just basic protections of your own bodily autonomy are at fucking risk, even in, progressive bastions like in Oregon. Because, I mean, there's going to be ways where, like, commissions can basically just let cops, do whatever the fuck they want. So if they decide, like, hey, there's a way to probably get out of a ticket if you go down on the hog, or some shit. Which at that point would basically just be rape, but, knowing these fucking pigs, that would just be seen as, like, some vague nuance to the sexual assault argument. Did she do it? Well, then evidently it wasn't non-consensual, or some shit. Just fucking ridiculous. God damn it. Boo. Get back here. But, anyway. Yeah. Let's hear more about this absurd shit.
Independent state legislature theory states to subvert the will of their voters. But there is a new way that the Republican Party wants to subvert democracy, and that is by rewriting the United States Constitution. You heard that right. Now, it's a gigantic task, and the odds of them succeeding here are slim. Having said that, though, not 0%. And the momentum that they're gaining to rewrite the Constitution is something that everyone should seriously pay attention to. Now let's talk about a December 2021 conference by ALEC. So Alex Koch wrote about this in the Center for Media and Democracy, detailing the GOP's plan at this particular ALEC conference to call for a constitutional convention. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can amend the Constitution. It can be done by Congress, or you can have the states call for an Article 5 convention. Now, the former way is the way that we've added amendments to the Constitution historically, but an Article 5 convention has never been done before. So what is an Article 5 convention? Well, if you get 34 states to pass resolutions calling for an Article 5 convention, then they can rewrite the Constitution. So that's essentially the route that the GOP is pursuing. Some members of the GOP is pursuing. Now, in order to get 34 states on board, you have to hold majorities in all of those states. And you need 38 states in total to ratify whatever amendment was come up with at this new, potential constitutional convention. So it's difficult. How would you do that? Well,
I mean, it is, yeah, which it's a fucking good thing that it is, and requires well over, half, of the states to actually, even, get a resolution going, let alone passing it. And you require 2 more states, to actually, like, codify it. So it's just like, I mean, the likelihood of this working, honestly, is, it's not 0%, but it is low. I mean, frankly, like, my main fear is mostly around, like, DeSantis, and considering a lot of big donors are backing him, and if big donors are also willing to back this whole fucking idea and shit, and, you know, depending how these midterms play out, I mean, definitely a lot of states, you know, might see, you know, some, you know, Democrat wins, but frankly, I don't know if it's going to be enough to make an impact, but I don't know, I guess we'll have to see with that one. And, you know, but especially in 24, I mean, it's like, there could be a possibility to where they might have the means to at least have the groundwork there to try and maybe actually get it done. But you would actually have to convince, you know, a lot of these Republicans to do so, and not every one of them is, you know, a far-right crazy evangelical shit freak. I mean, a lot of them are shit freaks, but not far-right evangelical Christo-fascist shit freaks. Not every single one of them. So it's just like, I mean, you're going to have to also get a lot of them on board with that shit, which they're going to want to see the money in it. Which, to them, they're probably not going to be bothered with at all, so they're probably going to be okay with it, but, you know, there's also other factors that they consider too, whether it's like more long-term career paths, or, you know, because if they do tag along with that and it doesn't work, that, you know, will impact their career and all that shit. So they might want to play the middle guy or that middleman type of shit and look like, you know, centrist or some shit, to be like, I'm the compromised moderate guy. So, I mean, would it be enough? I mean, so it is, even with that in mind, I would still say it's low, but it's still fucking very disconcerting. Because they already have a lot of ways to where they can implement their fucking agenda already, mainly just for the Supreme Court. But, I mean, especially under DeSantis, if they had, like, a groundwork for something like this, I mean, DeSantis especially would be pressuring motherfuckers left and right to get, you know, shit, what he wants done, and I know he would be in favor of this.
Conference, Rick Santorum gave us a little bit of insight by hinting at extreme gerrymandering. He said rural voters, even though there are fewer of them, actually have an outsized granted power under this process. And we have the opportunity as a result of that to have a supermajority, even though we may not even be in an absolute majority when it comes to people who agree with us. But because of the way the concentration of votes has changed in this country, we can actually accomplish things. Now, to be clear, Rick Santorum was making the case for an Article 5 convention, using gerrymandering to secure majorities needed to get enough states to pass resolutions calling for an Article 5 convention. So the question is, why are we talking about this December conference? This is from last year, so what's new? Well, a lot has changed, and a lot in terms of the momentum that this movement has gotten, because that conference was essentially a flashpoint for the movement, but because of recent successes that conservatives have had, they felt emboldened, and this movement has made a lot of really big gains. Insiders Grace Panetta and Brent Griffiths detail how this movement has gained quite a bit of momentum since that December 2021 conference in an article titled, "Republicans' Next Big Play is to, quote, scare the hell out of Washington by rewriting the Constitution."
I mean, they're not going to just be doing that with Washington. They're going to be doing that with America and also, frankly, the fucking globe. At least the globe that actually has a brain, you know, that hunk of it. So yeah, which by the way is pretty much like most of it outside, you know, of the U.S. pretty much. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, I'm pretty sure you're gonna be scaring the hell out of, frankly, just like 90% of the world, at least that, you know, has a brain.
Long game. So the question is, how many states have actually passed a resolution calling for an Article 5 convention? And you might wonder, it's got to be like 2 or 3, right? Because this is a fairly fringe movement. Well, as of December of 2021, the number was 15.
15.
Now, what's the new count? Since the movement has gained momentum, what's the new tally?
He doesn't sound exactly excited to say the number. I'm gonna say 20. What?
What's the new tally? 19.
I was one off. I was one state off. That actually does not make me feel good. Ah.
Since December have passed.
That is a scam. There's no way the GOP can get 38 states to improve an amendment. I mean, it's low. I don't necessarily think there's no way. I'd say it's low, though. It's literally a fundraising scam by the GOP. Pretty much the GOP itself is a fundraising scam. I mean, like, everything about its existence is a fundraising scam. This is, like, I mean, obviously, by proxy, this will too. But, I mean, like a lot of scams, they at least have to push something out, you know? So it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's gonna totally work, but I mean, considering a lot of these different states want to essentially do the equivalent of rewrite the Constitution by just not following it in their states and shit with what they're doing. And, you know, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, it's not impossible. I wouldn't necessarily say there's no way. I mean, because there's definitely at least, you know, some out there that are willing to be open about advocating for it, which obviously, you know, it's good for their bucks, but I don't know. I mean, it's just like, it seems like it definitely is something that, you know, there are some considering. And I definitely know people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and like the far-right evangelical crowd will definitely, just out of pure ideology reasons, would love it.
For an Article 5 convention, meaning they are more than halfway towards their goal of getting 34 states to call for an Article 5 convention. They only need 15 more states. Now, again, you need 38 states to ratify whatever amendment that they come up with. But that is a considerable amount of momentum, a considerable amount of progress that they've made. So what's fueling them? Well, as Insider explains, the December 2021 ALEC meeting represents a flashpoint in a movement spearheaded by powerful conservative interests, some of whom are tied to Trump world and share many of Trump's goals to alter the nation's bedrock legal text since 1788. It's an effort that has largely taken place out of public view, but interviews with a dozen people involved in the Constitutional Convention movement, along with documents and audio recordings reviewed by Insider, reveal a sprawling, well-funded, at least partly by cryptocurrency, and the campaign taking
Crypto, oh my god, of course.
root across multiple states, notably fueling them success. During an extraordinary few weeks in June, the Supreme Court's 3 new Trump appointees powered the reversal of Roe v. Wade. They fortified gun rights.
30 is an impossible number. Like, these Republicans don't play by the rules. Like, they would, you know, even, you know, if they're, like, overtly, you know, like, doing illegal, like, brazen, like, illegal shit, you know, to basically, you know, push that type of shit, I mean, they would. I mean, they already are a little over halfway to at least getting 36, which is still a long shot to a degree, yeah, but, I mean, that's still, like, whoa. I mean, yeah, it you know, in a lot of ways, this is just a lot of just fundraising, scheming shit, but, I mean, 19 states legitimately calling an Article 5 for this type of shit is, you know, it does, you know, have, like, you know, some sense of legitimacy in the sense that they are trying to actually, you know, do it. I mean, is it going to work, though? Probably not, but, I mean, they don't play fair either. So, it's just like, I mean, would it matter if, you know, just by normal means, you know, they couldn't really do it? I would hope so. But, again, they don't play by the rules at all. And that's how they get their shit done. I mean, Supreme Court is basically acting as, like, you know, a vigilante fucking court now at this point. It's gotta be either that or just another money-making scheme. Well, that's why I said, especially for a lot of these far-right evangelical types, I mean, frankly, they don't really give a fuck. Like, I mean, a lot of them are kind of okay with maybe not necessarily inherently breaking the country up, but basically taking it over and utterly suppressing queer folk and minority folk and shit. Like a lot, like, because, I mean, especially if a lot of the, like, Christian fascist types, like DeSantis, Moron Titan Green, Gates and shit, I mean, fundamentally, just their end goal is, like, just seeing the extermination of queer folk and, trans folk and shit for their grooming, pedophilic, nature and shit, and, basically seeing, women as, like, handmaidens, and fucking, a lot of these, like minority groups, essentially borderline chattel slaves, if not just chattel slaves again. Like, I mean, like, there's a significant, large, voice, within, the minority of, the Republican Party that's just straight up fucking Nazis. And there are in the government as well. And one of them might be the nominee for the Republican Party in 24. I mean, well, two of them, could potentially. It's a coin toss, I suppose. But frankly, I think that coin is looking more on the head of DeSantis, not Trump. It is a little weird, like, potato raggled ass tail. Way of do crackdown on the religious extremists. I mean, honestly, it's at the point where I wouldn't mind, like, a minor atheist state where it's, like, not hardcore, like, anti-religious laws, but at least enough to where, like, organized religion can't be, like, an influential force outside of, like, your little local church down the street or something that you go to at Sunday or whatever the fuck. And even then, there would definitely be some restrictions on, like, their power, especially when it comes to money. They would be taxed, especially to shit. So, like, at least, in my little idea, little, type of thing. It's not gonna go down without a fight. Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of the entire GOP and the Republicans, including Trump donors and Fox, like, pretty much the entire, is way less dangerous than DeSantis. No, I honestly do agree with you. I mean, fundamentally, I do. In a weird way, I actually 100% do hope that Trump is the nominee in 2024. DeSantis gets in and I start fighting a lot harder for Oregon independence. Yeah, and also a lot of the fucking far-right neo-Nazi motherfuckers that, live on the outskirts in the rural areas, especially near me, like, if they get in, like, they're gonna basically, especially being in the woke liberal areas, they're gonna feel far more fucking emboldened to do whatever the fuck they want, and frankly, I won't stand for that shit. Not only will I not just fight harder for that type of shit, but I actually will be fucking fighting. And hard. Because at this point, like, I mean, I still wish I was, like, off the clock, coming back into work from lunch or some shit when that stupid fucking Nazi criminal pig thug, was stealing shit at my work. Because, like, a part of me knows there probably would definitely have been hands thrown, but, part of me is wondering, would there have been words or would it have just been hands? Like, I mean, that's what I'm really, truly wondering. Because, I mean, especially with a shirt like he had, get some 88 into life with a Nazi Nordic cross, it's like you literally deserve to just get beaten into fucking, like never mind. You satire YouTube. It's like, I mean, you should make a nice, very hard, rough, liquefied bed of concrete. Just enjoy the bed of that for a while. While boots, repeatedly rest on your face a bunch of times. Or, just that Richard Spencer treatment with just a good old bop. I love that clip. That's still my favorite clip of Richard Spencer, is him just getting boom. Had the gnarliest looking black guy too, dude. I wish that guy went around for a twofer. Didn't for a double tap. just like a Predator Joan. Shaboom! Double tap. Shaboom! Dip out.
Religious freedoms. Future presidents now have less power to confront the climate crisis. Each win is the product of a steady and, in some cases, decades-long quest by conservatives to bend the arc of history rightward. This isn't an exercise either. State lawmakers are invited to huddle in Denver starting on Sunday to learn more about the inner workings of a possible constitutional convention at Academy of States 3.0, the third installment of a boot camp preparing state lawmakers in anticipation of an imminent Article 5 convention. Rob Tom Nadelson, a constitutional scholar and senior fellow at the Independence Institute, who closely studies Article 5 of the Constitution, predicted to Insider there's a 50% chance that the United States will witness a constitutional convention in the next 5 years. Whether it happens, he said, is highly dependent on Republican success winning state legislatures during the 2022 midterm elections. So let's just pause here. What's fueling their success is success, right? Because
I mean, considering that they're very emboldened because, yeah, they have been having some successes concurrently, at least in the short term. Yeah, this is probably why they're, flexing a lot of this shit on top of everything else, because they're emboldened. I mean, frankly, that's probably why that Nazi thug bag, that was in my story, had his shirt on for the same reason. Because ideologically, on a national level, there's been successes from his little fucking, fucking ball of albino chimp fucking thug, tribal weirdos. And fucking, basically are just like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna wear my shit because we're bold and we're proud out now. I can wear my shit out and not give a fuck because, yeah, we're on the side that's winning, bitch. I mean, that's how they feel. Even though fundamentally they're still, like, it's basically like, yeah, they're winning the battle so far, but the war is, it's been far from on their side. I mean, and part of them is just kind of like egging that on just because it's like they just want to see the end of that, like, kind of ideological war on their terms. I mean, that's why they, are pushing so much of this type of shit and taking it on, especially ideologically so much. Because, especially for a lot of the more, religious zealots, even if they're more middle-aged and shit, it's like, especially if you're a religious fanatic, there is this certain point, you have nothing left to lose because I'll just be going to heaven, to see, my holy God and, my Saint Jesus or whatever. Like, it's the same reason why, the hardcore radical Islamists, in the Middle East and shit might go literally as far as to blow themselves up, to certain circumstances. I mean, because to them, it's like, I'm going to go to paradise, and go to the garden of, that Allah has set, for me in heaven. It's just like, different religious fanaticism, but really fundamentally same shit, in their eyes, even if, yeah, materially they really do have a lot to lose, in their mind they don't. So it's just like, in a lot of ways, it's just like they want this. It's like they want to try to push this shit. Fuck that sky, they have no rights to fuck up the lives of others. Yeah, fundamentally. I mean, that's why that's why I, have such an alarm bell about it, because it's like, I mean, and at least not entirely, but in some part why, I also have, some of the positions on when it comes to firearms I do, because, like, when push comes to shove, they want to see blood, and that is what makes them so fucking dangerous. And when they have, such a sense of emboldened, like, such a sense of being emboldened and confident with their ideology, it's just like, that's when they start getting a lot more violent. I mean, especially when they're tucked up in a corner like they are, fundamentally. Because, like I said, they're far from winning the war. They're on the losing end. I mean, realistically, you're in the corner, and just because they, when you have an animal in a corner, they get a lot more aggressive, a lot more, ready to fucking fight for survival and shit at that point. So they might get a good hit on you every now and then. But it doesn't mean they're going to win. I mean, when you have an animal in a corner, there's not really many places it could go besides lash at you. It's like a Civil War, kick him out. Well, I mean, it's like, I'm not saying I am either, but, it's just like I understand what they are about. And it's just like, and I've always mentioned, it's like I'd rather at least just be safe than sorry, because I know these motherfuckers live around here and shit. And as far as I'm concerned, if, they'd instead of just fucking off or just shutting up, it's like, and they want to actually go out and try to, be some vigilante fuck, then it's just like, part of me is like, well, then fine. Do something, motherfucker. You've gone that far now. Guess that bullshit. Well, that's pretty much, it's just my position about it, but just, I guess when that whole push comes to shove mentality, willing to at least, go on the equal playing field, because I know what a lot of them are about. And I'm sure shit not gonna just sit idly by like while they probably pop off a shot or two at me. It's like nah. Or try to do a good old classic street beat down or something. It's like no. It's like I mean I'm gonna make sure I'm at least got some sort of means to make sure that if they fuck around they find out. And frankly, I mean, they're going to find out if they keep fucking around anyway, as they are. To do bare minimum. Yeah, I mean, I will too. I mean, very much so. It's just that, like I'm saying, a lot of those, the same type of people will go to those riots and shit to, take out a lot of these woke leftists that are trying to, bring down what's right and shit. And and that's where, at least in my mind, it's like I don't it's like where I won't fuck around, and I know a lot of other people feel the same way about it. It's not just as simple as going out and actually having a riot about it. A lot of people understand that, like, yeah, if that does happen, and and a lot of these Christo fascists come in, especially armed with a bunch of guns. I mean, a lot of leftists and a lot of people out in those riots are going to know that, and they're very likely also going to be too. These fuckers not even say me neither. I mean, they don't. That's why, a lot of me is saying bring it on. Because at this point, like, they're literally are trying to pick a fight. Like, that's just basically what they're doing. They're, like, every step of the way. So, it's like, I just want to sit here, smoke weed, and chill, and just, like, talk and shoot shit, you know what I mean? They fucking escalate. I mean, I wish it was simple as that. That's like a civil war. Like I said, it's not something that I want. It's just something that I realistically just know would likely happen. I'm not really saying that that's what I want. I'm more or less saying that that's just realistically is what's probably going to happen. It's like there's definitely going to be most people that are not going to have them, and when that shit happens, they're probably going to obviously get the fuck out. But for those that do, given the circumstances, they probably will stay and like hold the line while people can get to safety. So then instead of those fucking Christo fascists shooting at the crowd, they're more directing their line of fire to the people firing back at the dudes shooting everybody. So it's just like, I mean, it's just like these type of the mentality about it wouldn't necessarily have to be like that if it wasn't for them willing to pick up the fight like it is, like they want, like that. And where it's just like, because it's happened pretty much every fucking time before during 2020 in those protests and shit, just not to a very major significant degree. Like, I remember pretty much every time a lot of these 3%ers, fucking like, Oath Keepers, Patriot Prayer, all these other motherfuckers and shit, and I'd see them, they would always be armed with, a gun or a knife of some sort. Always. They would have their little paintball guns and shit, but you always see them strapped. Because, because a part of them is like, they want that. They're itching for that. They're looking for an excuse to pull that out. And obviously, I'd rather not give it to them. If they're going to pull out, they're going to be the one firing the shot first. If anyone's going to be doing it, they're doing it. I mean, that's kind of, that's really fundamentally the point. At least, in my mind. If they want to do the whole Civil War thing, then they fire the first shot. I'd rather just like not have that, and if I get shot at, then yeah, I'm gonna defend myself. But beyond that, like, I don't want this shit. So I'm also in favor of state legislative abolishing these groups, add them as terrorist organizations. That should just be a national fucking law at this point. I mean, it's like there's too many of these militias that are, being disguised as that when they're realistically just straight up fucking terrorist organizations. It's just like, just straight up. It's just like, I mean, it's like, what? Oh, you're just like, a little militia of, some guys that like to, go do marksman training and like go do competition sports shooting or some shit. It's like, no, you're a bunch of fucking crazy psycho terrorists that literally are trying to like do an insurrection of shit. Federal government's too corrupt. We need to do it at state level. Well, I mean, I'm saying like that as a concept, and in theory should be a national law, but yeah, state level for sure. Like I mean, there's a lot of these groups, mainly like the Patriot Prayer, especially, they're local. And honestly, a lot of these militias, I mean, the reason why they have so many names, depending on like what local states is talking about, like neo-Nazis being captured for doing criminal fucking shit or doing some sort of like outright terroristic act or some shit. Like they always have some different name because it's just a different local militia, but they're essentially just the same shit. It's almost kind of like locals of unions. It's like you got like the national of like of the ideology, but then you have all these different little locals that all have different names and shit. But they're all basically the same thing. Maybe like one's a little bit more libertarian, the other one's a lot more religious, the other one might be a little bit more patriotic, whatever the fuck, and more like, yeah, we're about like our vets and stuff, bruh. Another one might be more dog whistling about their racist shit, it's just like they all have like a little, specialty, but I mean, fundamentally, they're all the same thing. But it's just like it would just be nice if I didn't have to just like live in a country where these fucks were just so violently loud about their nonsense. It's like if they would just like shut up and just like maybe whine about it on Twitter every now and then and just like prayed in the closet a little harder, like I would not give a fuck. I would just see them as a little meme that they are and move on with my life. But nope. They want to make everybody suffer, their shit and their nonsense. Because they can't get, security and, fucking, confidence in their own life, so they have to, make sure they bring everyone else down with them. It's like, fuck you. You sad little sacks of shit.
Was accomplished during this last session with the Supreme Court. What was formerly viewed as impossible was achievable. Now they thought, well, if we can overturn Roe v. Wade, essentially introduce prayer in schools, not in the classrooms, but at least legalize it in some ways. If we could do all of this within the span of 1 year, what else is possible? We can rewrite the entire Constitution if we play our cards right and if we're committed to the long game. So because they were successful, conservatives have been emboldened, and to show how emboldened they are, well, 4 more states are signing on to this process. Now, what exactly do they want to change about the Constitution? Well, right now, they're limiting the scope of what they want to change. So first of all, they want term limits. Now, some people would agree with that, right? I agree with term limits, but I don't think that doing this constitutionally is the way it should be done, because term limits, when introduced in some Latin American countries, has led to actually increased corruption. So if it's done legislatively, if it's a disaster somehow, then you can reverse it. But if it's constitutionally ratified, then you can't. If you don't like it, if we don't like the result, we can't reverse that. So that's like the least gripe or the least problematic thing about this. What they want to do, which would be disastrous, is they want a constitutional amendment for...
These guys are also dumb as fuck. You literally can't limit the scope of the convention. Well, I mean, like I was saying earlier, the Republicans don't play fair, so it's like, I mean, at the very least, they would try. I mean, it's like, I doubt it would work, but again, they're gonna try at least.
Essentially,
they've never been about
PAGA, which means
like they've never been about rules. It's always the rules for me, but not from the type of premise with them.
The left wants could ever.
Or I guess rules for thee, but not for me. But, you know what I meant.
For all, climate change, mitigate, like nothing could be possible because you can't pass any legislation unless there's a pay for. And so, right there, so much is off the table. But the most vague and worrisome segment is them trying to limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government. They're not really saying how. They're using term.
They would try and fail. Any one delegate can propose any amendment. They can't limit the scope. Yeah, well, which frankly is good because, you know, as much as they would try, I mean, this is at least one place where, you know, it is definitely an Achilles heel for them. I mean, that's why, you know, in a lot of ways they're trying to, like, maximize their power in as many states as possible because it makes it a little easier to limit the scope by just having, you know, more states and delegates on their side by that point. But, you know, that doesn't really mean that much if, you know, you still have other delegates that obviously aren't in your favor.
Horse to create this veneer of populism, because a lot of people are dissatisfied with members of Congress and they support term limits, but it's more than just those three goals. As Insider continues, what's new now is the ever-evolving power coupling of a corporation-backed ideological juggernaut led by ALEC, a non-profit organization with close ties to large tobacco and drug
Sounds so dystopian, ALEC.
companies, and a determined Republican Party increasingly dominating many of the nation's 50 state houses. If they were successful, a constitutional convention led by conservatives could trigger sweeping changes to the Constitution. Their goals include gutting federal environmental standards, nixing nationwide education requirements, and creating an incredibly high threshold for Washington, D.C., or a territory to earn statehood. Some would like to make it difficult, if not impossible, for someone, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases Director Anthony Fauci, for example, to work for decades within the federal government. Constitutional Convention boosters include many of Trump's current and former allies, including conservative legal scholar John Eastman, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
Oh my god, there's that little Giuliani fucking weirdo, bro. Oh my god, dude, that guy's... he's such a meme.
Personalities like Sean Hannity and Mark Levin. Eastman, who recently had his phone seized by...
What is this fucking weird, like, cowboy snake oil salesman, Wild West fucking Funko Pop, dude? Like, what is going on right here, dude? His chest is literally a square.
Investigating Trump's attempts to overturn
like, what is going on, dude? Is that Mark Levin?
Attended a 2016 mock convention hosted by the Convention of States. 6 years later, the Academy of States 3.0 taking place Sunday ahead of the National Conference of State Legislatures 2022 summit in Denver. On its website, the group boldly forecasts that a new constitutional convention could take place in 24 months and quotes former President Barack Obama in emphasizing, "You can't change Washington from the inside. It's a heavy lift, but it's not out of reach." Arne Pearson, the Center for Media and Democracy's executive director and a close watcher of the convention movement, told Insider, "I think it's a real threat." Yeah, and I think that it's a real threat as well. Not as big of an immediate threat as Morvey Harper or Trump getting a second term, but nonetheless, this is something.
I mean, replace that with DeSantis, Mike, and you'd be a little bit more accurate with the whole concern thing about that. Like, I mean... even if it is Biden as the nominee in 2024, like, I wouldn't see Trump winning. I mean, I think it would be maybe easier for him if it literally was just 2020 all over again, but, I mean, I still don't think he would. I mean, I mean, honestly, I'm just wondering, like, who would honestly replace Biden, because I know, like, you know, the corporate Dems are, you know, trying to kind of get away from him a little bit at this point. They're like, this guy's kind of a disaster. But they're stupid enough to run Biden. Well, yeah. I mean, both of these parties need to just, like, cease to exist anyway. I mean, just fundamentally. But, yeah, like, if they're gonna be so stupid and just so callous, you know, shit, it seems like they want Buttigieg. Yeah, it seems like it. Which, ugh. Just, ugh. It's kind of just lame. But, yeah, I mean, it would honestly, I think, in a lot of ways be better. I mean, I don't know how, like, you know, neutrally friendly he would be with, like, unions or workers and shit. I mean, I would imagine he would at least be somewhat friendly with them. I mean, obviously, he would definitely be more of an advocate for queer rights and shit, considering he's gay himself. I mean, it's like, I could definitely at least, you know, see him actually doing some half-measure shit, at least. So, I mean, but he's just such a fucking fake-ass motherfucker, dude. Like, he is just a fake son of... ugh. I just find him detestable, but, you know, I mean, I can at least see him doing something.
One thing that is working in our favor is not just the 38 state requirement to ratify whatever they come up with in the event 34 Republican-led states call for a resolution for an Article 5 convention, but it's also the fact that a lot of conservatives, including Trump Republicans like Andy Biggs, are explicitly against a constitutional convention. In fact, in 2012, the RNC passed a resolution saying that they condemn constitutional conventions, and part of that might have been because they were afraid by a different Article 5 convention threat, and that is Wolfpack. So for those of you who follow the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur had a movement to call for an Article 5 convention to get money out of politics, and there were several blue states that passed these resolutions, although some states have went backwards and rescinded their resolutions because they don't like this prospect of a potential runaway convention, where you call a convention for something small and the scope increases, and then you could open the door to a bunch of terrible things. Now, I think that because there's this 38 state need to, or requirement rather, to ratify this amendment, I'm not necessarily worried about a runaway amendment, but whatever conservatives want to do in any way that they specifically want to rewrite the Constitution or add amendments, that horrifies me, because these people are authoritarian and they don't care about freedom. They don't care about Americans. They just want to impose their minoritarian views on all of us. But I think a lot of Republicans backed away from an Article 5 convention after, you know, getting money out of politics gained momentum. So now it seems to be switching, you know...
Hey! Hold on. Hey, Zukov! Hey! Shut up! No. Good lord, bro. What the hell? I fought from my heart as that. Son of a bitch. Yeah, but... I mean, honestly, like, I mean, all in all, I don't really necessarily think there's really, like, much to fear, you know, from this directly. I mean, while I do say it is kind of disconcerting mainly just due to their more broader ideological, you know, agenda, and I think it says more about that more so than them trying to, you know, see if this works, honestly. And it's just like, those should be like, mofos, I need to run. Well, if he did, well, he kind of did a little bit. Like, I left the door open, and he's just been kind of running around back and forth outside. Like, coming in here and running around out there and coming back and shit.
Has kind of died down, as far as I know, but momentum in this opposite direction has certainly sped up. Now, the question is, who's funding this? Because the article mentioned this is a well-funded movement, so who's funding this? Well, they state tax filings obtained by the Center for Media and Democracy reveal the groups, which are not required to disclose their donors, have received millions from Cope-connected Donors Trust, the Mercer family, and groups linked to powerful conservative lawyer Leonard Leo. A 2020 internal audit of Convention of States obtained by the group revealed that a $1.3 million donation made in Bitcoin made up 16% of the group's budget in 2019.
Jesus Christ.
Totaling $2.5 million accounted for 36% of the group's 2020 budget. So you have some really wealthy, powerful people behind this. So this is worrying, and it's something that we should know about, because this has largely been a covert movement. A lot of us have not heard about this. So again, I just want to reiterate that in the near future, whether or not this will be successful, they're saying they can get a constitutional convention within 24 months. Experts are saying 50-50 chance within the next 5 years. I think that the biggest clear and present danger to democracy without question is the Supreme Court with Moore v. Harper. That is something where, you know, if they're able to legitimize independent state legislature theory, they don't even need a constitutional convention, because they'll stay in
I mean,
power.
honestly, yeah, that's why the Supreme Court is just fundamentally the bigger thing, because, like, you got a vigilante Supreme Kangaroo Court going on, and it's just like, yeah. I mean, fundamentally, that's literally not just a more long-term, but also an immediate, like, risk in comparison to this type of stuff. But that's why, you know, really it says more about, like, you know, all the ideological agenda more so than this, you know, little thing specifically in itself.
And we'll see minority rule for the foreseeable future. So, you know, it's it's something that we definitely need to keep on our radar. Don't freak out about this too much right now, but just be aware of what's happening. There is a growing movement of conservatives, a once fringe movement, mind you, of conservatives that want to rewrite the Constitution, add amendments, change it up a little bit, and that momentum has considerably, shifted in their direction, and that's something that we all need to pay attention to, because in the event they were successful with this movement, it would be a disaster. And sure, it seems impossible, but a lot of things seemed impossible, like the repeal of Roe v. Wade, like an insurrection attempt in the United States. So they're emboldened, and they're not going to stop at total abortion bans. They're not going to stop at Moore v. Harper. They want it all. They want everything. They want all the power. And this is just another way that they can secure power forever and kill American democracy. So don't freak out about it, but definitely do pay attention to this.
Yeah, I mean, overall tend to kind of agree with it, because, I mean, he's not, saying it, like, just kind of more simply as I am, but it's like, it is basically, a more broader, summary of what, their ideological agenda is all about at this point, which is like, how do we just basically try to gain, like, pretty much just, like, all the power? It's like, well, we'll pretty much just, like, kind of go for pretty much anything and everything, and we'll see what works. Oh, these things seem like it works. Oh, this has some momentum. We'll do these things. Oh, these random things that seemed like were impossible kind of were attempted and happened. Momentum. This is like, oh god, yeah, oh, gee. I still want, the whole, like, premise of, like, hey, let's get Norway, hit them up and be like, yo, Svalbard, you know that place, right? And they're all like, oh, yeah, we know of the little islands up north. What about them? And then we'll just be like, yo, that one, Nordøslandet, like, there's no people on it. It's a pretty big island. They're like, yeah, it is. And I'm just like, all right. How about we buy it? We'll heavily compensate you, like, 3 times more than what it really is worth, just, to really, really make it worth your while. Why? Hear me out. Here's out, Norway. I'm trying to be the U.S. here. The U.S. delegate, to Norway for this proposition. And it's just like, all right, we have a bunch of crazy far-right Christo-fascist chuckle fucks. And they're like, okay, why do we want them? It's like, well, you want to have them, and they want to be yours. We want to buy the island, and then make it their own little white Christian nation or some shit, because of how white it is up there with all the ice and snow, right? And they're like, oh, okay, go on. So you'll want to basically just all have them all funneled to the island, and it's like, yeah, basically. We just want to quarter them off on an island. You don't have to take care of them. You don't have to do nothing with them. Just leave them there. I mean, literally just leave them there. Don't even worry about them. Yeah, we won't worry about them. We'll just leave them there. And, maybe every now and then, if a boat comes out or something, it could be like, all right, here's, like, some food, now go away. And just, shoo them away. If they're like, please, no, please, we want civilization again. If they're all like, if that's just their plea, in order to try to, like, invade. It's more of, like, an act of war. Just shoot them away. I mean, they don't have any weapons or anything. Well, hopefully they don't. But chances are they probably won't, so just shoot them away. I mean, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Besides, I think most of the settlements in Svalbard are on one island, and are all on the south side. And this island is, like, on the northeast side, so it's literally, like, on the exact opposite of where, like, they would have to see meet people. So, yeah, they'd basically, just have their own little place to themselves. We can sell it to them as, like, some temperate, nice, this is, like a little area where, there's like some evergreens and stuff like that, and when they get there, they're like, where the fuck is it? It's like, well, you have to plan it. God provides, right? It's like, I mean, just pray and, and hope that, with God's, what he could provide, he can, prosper this place for you. I mean, you're in God's hands now. Bye. Come back like, a year later and, see what, just see what happens, just see the results, see the progress. Because, I mean, especially if they're going to be in God's hands, they'll be good, they'll be okay. If anything, that might be a prosperous society. I mean, foolproof. A rainstorm passing through Perth. Whoa. 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 Dude, that is so, like... That's... Whoa. That is just so whack. That is so cool. Hey! No! Sukoff! Really, bro? Someone's first comment is gift set end too soon. A little bit, though. But that honestly is actually kind of a cool phenomenon. Because, I mean, like, obviously being in Oregon, I mean, you'll see the clouds in the distance with the rain, but it never looks like that thick, and it just out of nowhere just clunk, just dumps. It's like one of those, firefighting aircraft that, like, fly over, and then just, like, out of nowhere, it's like, clunk, it just dumps. It's just like that, but just literally just pure cloud form. Just, like, just dumping just pure, just water out of nowhere. I'm sure it's just like the same scientific, like physical process that happens with how rain normally develops, but it's just happening at a very, like, extreme condition, type of thing going on. Like maybe like more extreme like temperature variance or something, so thus it makes like, the more denser clouds lose a lot of its moisture and thus just dumps just dumps rain instead of just kind of a more casual, just kind of, just casual rain and shit. Still, it's really cool though, especially like what really makes it cool is just like it kind of like poof and then just like it just like explodes, with all the water drifting away and shit as it gets dumped. I'm still looking at this GIF. It's actually pretty cool. Can I save it? I actually kind of want to save it. Can I save this GIF? No, I can't. Aww. I kind of want to though. Fuck you, Reddit. Jerk. Or details I had to post. Why would I hide the post? Oh, I could save the post. Oh, I saved it. Okay, well, alright, that works. Honestly, one crazy thing that I've was kind of listening on DFF's episode on Monday was on like underground fires and shit, which are mostly done by us, but I mean not all of them, but most of them, and that shit is just like honestly whack in itself. And honestly, most of the ones, at least that they were talking about, were mostly in coal mines, strangely enough. And yeah, it's just like, what in the fuck? But also, I just kind of find that in itself just kind of a crazy weird phenomenon. It's just like, because there's one that they like, especially at least back when the Soviet Union was, well, the Soviet Union, they like heavily like withheld how it started, but there's like a I think it's called the Portal to Hell, but it's just basically like this just fat pit that's just burning, and it's in Turkmenistan now, and pretty much like there was like geologists excavating the area and shit for oil deposits, and they actually had a methane like a hollow methane deposit, and essentially all the ground collapsed, which I'm assuming probably killed the people excavating the fucking area or something. I would assume. Like, that was never specified. But, you know, and then, because there was all this methane just, you know, is coming out, you know, they're just like, well, you know, instead of this taking a long time to just be released, why don't we just light it? At least the story goes is that one scientist lit it on fire thinking it will go out in a couple weeks. And, well, to this day, it still rages on. They know why it goes off, you know, perpetually in, like, a fireball of portal to hell dumb and shit, but as to why it started, that's still kind of, like, up in the air a little bit. I mean, there's only really one story to it, and it's the whole scientist kind of lit it on fire. Which, knowing the hubris of man, that sounds likely anyway. But it's not even really confirmed, but frankly, I mean, if that's the only real, like, theory to it, I mean, just might as well go with it. I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna be honest, it just seems like the likely case anyway. I mean, frankly, I mean, there was a lot of, Soviet scientists at the time that were, like, pretty American-like redneck about their thinking. It's like, "No, comrade, this will work, trust me. Watch me do this, it'll work." And they do it, and they die, just kind of like, you know, a redneck just like, "Hey, brother, watch this, hold my beer." It's just a very similar mentality. It's just like, it's like, not exactly known for their, you know, prowess, you know, with certain things. Probably smart in their fields, but, you know, being out in the field, probably not. But, yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's honestly kind of interesting, because at least why it does still is, at this point, like, the initial methane deposit, at this point, would be, you know, kind of drained away. But they pretty much hypothesize, because they can't exactly, like, get to it, obviously, because there's a gigantic fireball of hell, you know, just, like, kind of going off, and they can't exactly dig deep or anything, because if they did go into another methane deposit, that can release, you know, the gas from that, and thus cause another chain reaction of fire and death and hell, you know, spreading everywhere. So it's just like, you know, they can only really just speculate mainly, but there's basically just a gigantic methane deposit under the smaller one, and all of that seeping up and rising into this smaller one that caved in is open, and thus just continuing this perpetual flame. And it could go out tomorrow, it can go out in another 100 years, who fucking knows? Like, it's going to hell, baby. Hence the portal to hell. I think there's pictures of it, though. Actually, I could probably just find the DFF episode of it and show, like, a little bit of it. It's one of their public apps. Yeah, there it is. Eternal Infernos. Yeah, where? Ah, here it is. Yeah. Dude, look at this thing. This thing's fucking whack. But yeah, this is the portal to hell, though. That's in Turkmenistan. And yeah, it pretty much looks like a volcano, honestly. It looks like the mouth of a volcano. But no, that's just like the collapsed soil of what used to be a small methane deposit that is now just a perpetual burning ball of methane. So yeah, that's a thing now. The president of Turkmenistan apparently did some crazy fucking shit by driving around around this. So let me see if I can find it. Oh my fucking god! I mean, look at this shit! Oh my god, dude! I mean, that is lava, basically. It pretty much is like a little, like, not a volcano, but it pretty much has, like, some of the properties of one. I mean, that's like, I mean, the ground, you know, in that pit is so hot, it's become like lavafied. I mean, lava is just liquid rock anyway. I mean, but like, damn. Didn't even really get a good look of it. All right, here we're set to. Oh, skips over. It's probably about right around up here. Oh, here he is. Here he is. This guy.
I'm just muted. It's just got like horrible music behind it.
Look what he does, dude.
There he goes.
Yeah.
He drives around in this bad boy, dude.
They have put a fence around it.
Oh shit! Why do they have a man? Some stupid Americans must have visited.
Yeah, someone.
Yeah, probably.
We don't need lawsuits.
It's like, we don't need lawsuits. Put a fence around it. But the president just went on a little 4x4 and just like, I'm driving around it because I'm the president of Turkmenistan, baby. It's just like, damn, dude. I mean, honestly, it's just like, I mean, I can at least respect that. Like, there's more likability in that president doing just that, you know, alone than Biden will ever have in his life. Pretty much. I know. It's like, I just find it funny. He was just like, I'm gonna, you know, wear this fancy looking like Turkmenistani Elvis Presley, like Evel Knievel looking jacket, uniform thing. I'm gonna get in this cool ass looking 4x4 and just, you know, hop in the whip and just drive around the fucking, you know, portal to hell, dude. It's just like, I mean, it kind of gives me a little bit of some respect points to Turkmenistan. It's like, alright, they know how to have some fun. They know how to have some fun out there. I mean, honestly, Turkmenistan looks like a fucking awesome place to, like, go 4x4, like, desert, like, dirt, driving around and shit, dude. Honestly, it looks like a really cool place to do that. Find, like, you know, some cool steps, you know, like, roll up on the edge and shit, just kind of sit there and just check out the landscape and stuff. I mean, am I talking myself into wanting to go to Turkmenistan? Is there anything besides just that and landscape that is worth going to Turkmenistan for? Is there actually anything there besides those things? Because I know, like, every year there's about, like, 6,000 some people every year that go to Turkmenistan just for the whole portal to hell thing. But, I mean, yeah. I'm actually gonna destinations. Derwezi, which is where the portal to hell is, because the first image for that is literally that. Like the first image, like the third image. It's the portal to hell. And then Kongergank. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. But I guess I'm assuming like the main point of interest for that would likely be like, you know, a cool like historical temple site, I'm assuming. And Ashgabat, which I'm guessing is the capital. Points of interest. Davasa Gaskar, yeah, that's just a portal to hell. Independence Monument of Neutrality. So some cool monuments. Cool looking mosque. A carpet museum. Turkmen carpet museum. I mean, alright. I mean, it's like for the different, like, cool, like, designs and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, that'd be pretty cool, but, I mean, you know, it's nothing to, like, you know, write home to mama about, you know what I mean? Niza? Oh, that's like an ancient city? Oh, dude, fuck yeah! Alright, well, there's some things. I mean, there's some things it looks like. I mean, not a lot of things. I mean, a lot of, you know, looks like some historical mosques and stuff like that as well, which, I mean, just for the sake of just checking them out, I mean, sure, I might as well go to them, you know, just for the sake of just seeing what, like, you know, the architecture looks like inside, you know, and stuff, but beyond that, like, okay, whatever. I would literally be, like, the most off-putting person to walk into that, you know, ever in its, like, building's history, probably. But, you know. Like, I want to see about this, like, Niza, though. Yeah, an ancient settlement of the Parthians. Oh, so it's like an ancient Parthian settlement. Located near the Bagur neighborhood of Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. Okay, so it's just in Ashgabat, which I'm assuming is the capital? Yeah, it's the capital. Okay. Cool, so I won't even have to go far away to go check it out. Cool. Alright, well, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like there's some stuff, you know, Turkmenistan to check out if I wanted to go there. And plus, I imagine the food would actually probably be pretty good. I mean, well, I actually have no idea what it all actually would be anyway, but, why is there one recommended, like, search results? Why is Ashgabat empty? The City of the Dead because it's almost impossible to see people in the new district of White Marble. What? Is there some things that I should probably be concerned about? Wait, is it's so hard to visit? It's not, no shit's not well in the travel destination. Difficult visa process, astounding, yeah, okay, well, yeah. Wait, so it's just a visa process? That's it? Okay, well. I mean, if you don't get many visitors, I'm imagining, you know, it's just like, oh, wow, we actually have to do a visa process for somebody. Oh, shit. Okay, well, alright, well, let's go for the checklist of how we do that again. It's just like, I mean, yeah, I imagine they don't really get that often, you know, with many people, you know, coming over. Well, I mean, at least get 6,000 a year with, you know, just for that whole, you know, portal to hell or like the door to hell and shit with that gas crater. But some of that sounded like, I mean, honestly, no Turkmenistan is probably like an authoritarian, you know, country, honestly. So, I mean, frankly, there's probably like a lot of problems. But, I mean, nonetheless, I mean, honestly, it doesn't seem like it would be like terrible to visit at least. I'd sooner visit that than like, well, like, I legit would rather visit there than like Israel, Saudi Arabia, fucking like, I mean, like, it's like Indonesia even. Like, I mean, like, I literally would go there first before any of those places. I literally would go there first before Florida at this point. Like, I mean, for fuck's sake. Because I guarantee you in Turkmenistan, they probably don't, like, oppress, you know, a woman's right to an abortion or some shit. Because, like, globally, like, at least when it comes to, like, International Polling Day, like, all collected up and gathered together, it's about, like, 11% of the world, you know, essentially it's like, yeah, no abortions, boo. Like, and that's not a lot of people. I mean, it is, but 11% of, like, 7.5 something fucking billion people, that's, I mean, yeah, there really isn't that many. I mean, it's, like, I don't even think that cracks up to the billion mark. So it's just, like, most of these motherfuckers are basically just, like, in the U.S., and even then, they're still a fucking tiny minority. And maybe a hodgepodge, you know, of these people with these views, you know, scattered everywhere else around the world. But for the most part, you know, it's just, like, even with, you know, some restrictions, people are okay with abortions. Like, even if they are more heavier restrictions and shit, but, you know, it's just like there's people out there that are like, yeah, you know, I'm okay with this, you know, in cases like rape, incest, and sexual assault, and other various things like that, blah, 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 medical needs, and, you know, blah, 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 but beyond that, no, probably shouldn't do it. I don't want it. But it's like, I mean, because I think, I forgot the exact number, but I think it was like 30-something% of people were pretty much like on that page, and then it was like 40-something that was pretty much like, yeah, it should be just a woman's right or something like that. At least when it comes to the number. I mean, the other numbers, you know, kind of guesstimate, but that 11%, you know, really stuck with me because of just like, if only 11% of the globe basically really thinks this, and even in some places, as religiously extreme as they are, aren't even like that hardcore on this issue. Given that, it's just like, then why in the fuck are they being given any credence at all? At least here in the U.S., apparently there's like, yeah, we do, because baby life matter more. A clump of cell matter more. Boo. Because that's what most abortions happen. It's when it's still a clump of fucking cells. But it's just like, nope. You're basically doing abortion like 2 seconds before your water breaks. It's like 2 seconds before that breaks, you're just like, abortion. Yeah, this was exactly what's happening. Basically, like, the full-size baby is essentially already there as soon as you, like, conceive in that woman right there. Like, you pretty much have it, but it's just, very tiny at the very beginning. It just kind of gets bigger and bigger. It already has sentience. Come on, bro. Pro-life. I really hope Minnesota really sets a standard for cracking down on those fuckers. I mean, honestly, though. I mean, for real. I know there's a lot of states that have, some very important elections going on, when it comes to this type of shit. Make it very clear that denying people access to birth control will not be tolerated. Yeah. Isn't Kansas trying to go for some legislation right now where it's like if you vote no, it keeps the right to abortion access, and you voting yes pretty much leaves it up to state legislators on what to do with it, which basically means that we're getting rid of it. Oh, I thought you were talking about a faded. Oh, you're talking about a fetus. So you're talking about balloons. What? Balloons? Well, the people that think, this whole pro-life shit are basically a bunch of balloon-headed fucks, so, I mean, I guess kind of. You said they start small and get bigger? Well, yeah, balloons do that, and that's also what happens in the uterus when you got baby growing up in that womb and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just yeah, because both over time do get bigger at different time frames, but they do. Only one gets a little too. If one gets a little too. So are babies balloons? Yes, they are. I mean, a little bit. They kind of balloon a woman's belly out, when they grow big. So, I mean, a little bit. They balloon out the uterus and shit, obviously, because they need somewhere to grow. So, I mean, a little bit. I mean, they kind of are. Not literally, but figuratively. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, it's like, can't do nothing about it. I ain't trying to, like, say shit or nothing. But, it's like, yeah, like, over time, yeah, like, woman's belly kind of balloons out, because, yeah, you got a baby cooking in there, you know what I mean? It's like, you're about to have a kid at that point. It's like, oh, it's coming up pretty soon, it sounds like, right now. Babies are balloons. He just looks at me like, what?
What?
Yeah. Comparing babies to balloons.
Oh, babies to balloons.
Yeah.
I thought you said bums.
Well, yeah, they're also kind of a bunch of bums that leech off on the mama. It's like, we don't want to work for ourselves in here. In this little womb, it's lame. I'm just gonna use this to just, like, absorb everything off the mama. I hope he understands that there was some sarcasm in a joke there, but I mean, I have a feeling that he probably didn't. Took off. Little baby. Oh, you sweet little baby. Look. This little bottle. Oh, you little goof. That little goof. Let's see what else be here on the tube, you know? Not really much. Wait, really? These popular Christian TikToks are super problematic. Oh, sweet Jesus fucking Christ. It's less than 30 minutes, but oh my god, do I want to succumb myself? I mean, is that Jimmy Snow fella? Yeah, we haven't really watched that much of his content on stream and shit. I honestly don't really watch it that much, but I like some of his stuff. I need to watch more of his shit anyway. You know, fuck it. It's less than, it's like 20-something, whatever the fuck. You know, we'll jump into this cringe fest of grossness. Why? I hate TikTok. I like, whenever I see something that, like it codified the vertical. Like, what happened to fucking on everybody who recorded in vertical mode instead of horizontal? Like, why are we letting social media basically just, like, persuade us otherwise and, like, indoctrinate us otherwise? Can I just, like, put that, like, if TikTok, honestly, like, I feel like it would literally be, like, 20 times better. Well, maybe not 20 times better, like, 1.25 times better if instead of vertical, it was horizontal. It would just be just a little bit better. You know what, if you want your shit in vertical, then, you know, you could flip it around after, you know, you make your little video and re-edit it, you know, from there or some shit. I fucking don't know or really care how TikTok works. I'm never getting their fucking app or making an account there. Like, I know that much, so I don't give enough of a fuck. But at least it'll make, like, viewing them just, like, a little better. Because I'd rather just view it like this, so there isn't, like, this weird, like, you know, bullshit or whatever. But unfortunately, like, TikTok essentially is just, like, indoctrinating us into thinking vertical's okay now. Well, not just them. I mean, there was also Snapchat, too. They did that shit, too. They try to do that, yo, we're record, you know, everything you do is record in vertical, bitch. It's like, ugh. It's like, why do we think that was acceptable? Like, for taking pictures, sure, but, like, for recording things, you know, like, put that bitch in horizontal mode. Like, fuck your vertical nonsense. It's like, I'm pretty much, like, one of the last few holding the line on that. So, like, I think everyone else just accepted their fate with that. But anyway.
TikTok and type Christian in, you're going to be met with a page that looks like this. Now, what you are seeing...
Why is there, like, a green, like, filter on that one middle thing right there? And why does she look demonic, like she's about to, like, you know, be, like, some weird demon from The Shining or something?
...of how Christianity is being promoted and the way it is being done on popular platforms like TikTok, specifically targeting kids. And you might also notice...
Go figure.
There is a pattern of it being young, attractive influencers that make up most of it. And the kind of content that they are sharing may seem innocuous.
Go vertical, ignore. Never! You're all conformists! I mean, honestly, though, I mean, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like, it's true, though. Yeah.
May seem light, but there's actually a dark side to it. If you remember on this channel, we talked about Mrs. Midwest, who a lot of people told me I was wrong for thinking she was worse than people like Girl Define, as I had introduced this idea that she is trying to pipeline people in and then push them to extremism. Turns out I was right, but I'm not here to gloat. That comes after. There will be snacks. I'm here to talk about these, and I want to show you two of the most popular. We have this first one, and then this third one. We can review some of the other ones another time, but specifically why these two very seemingly well-meaning and kind-looking young women on TikTok are spreading a type of message that I worry about how toxic and effective it is. So, I'm Jimmy Snow. This is Dear Mr. Atheist. Let's do this.
Whoa. Damn, whoa, that slaps. Jesus, that was so intense. And that was so short. And now it's all quiet. What?
I am once again so happy to tell you that today's episode is brought to you...
What? Whoa. Alright, well, alright, sponsor, so we'll skip it anyway. I do like... Damn epic intro from Fake Amazing Atheist. Hey, this isn't a Fake Amazing Atheist, but, well, I guess he is a little bit, but yeah. He's one of the, offspring.
And more. That was just stupid. Let's jump in right away. So here we are, back on this page. I'm going to go ahead and put on my headphones so I can hear it. Now, this first one...
Oh, wow, look at him. He's looking very professional now. He looks like he's about to be an NPR podcaster now. He's looking very professional. The headphones have come on, ladies and gentlemen. The headphones are now on. He's become very professional.
I think is probably popular copyrightable.
Shouldn't that be Adam and Lilith? Yeah, you know, I've always wondered that. Well, Eve was also the one who bit into the apple first, though, and all that shit. Well, I mean, well, yeah.
On YouTube. She doesn't actually say anything out loud, so I'll probably replace the music with some stock music I'm allowed to use. I do want to tell you now, the first one only frustrates me at a point of like 3 out of a scale of 1 to 10 on how frustrated I am.
Demon Sexy Lady. Well... Yeah, that, I mean... Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, why? Why don't they? I guess because the whole premise is that, like, I mean, they're all inside anyway. Pause. They're all inside you.
Right now because I hovered over it. That one really bugs me and gets under my skin in a lot of ways because I feel like it so disregards the adversity of so many people. But one of the themes that you're going to see in both is what I would call a targeting of people who may have a little bit less hope in their lives, which for somebody like me, that's usually what I just describe as depression. Depression, a lot of people who don't have it understand it as sadness. Depression is hopelessness. But anyway, let's watch the first one.
Okay, when God said,
I chose you when I planned creation. You were not a mistake.
So...
I
chose you when I planned creation.
Creation.
And you're not a mistake. It's like, tell that to quite literally, like, all the kids who pretty much have been abused by parents that have literally outright have, like, said that they didn't want them and don't care about them. It's like, I'm pretty sure, you know, like, you know, in a lot of ways, they would probably say otherwise and shit. Like, Marlon Gaye was actually one of them. Like, his father basically was just like a hyper abusive alcoholic that essentially was just that. Like, he literally did not give a fuck about his kid at all. To the point where he essentially murdered him later down the line. So it's just like, I mean... I think just that in itself just, like, allows that to crumble, like, right off the top of its head. And also, like, what about, like, you know, genetic mutations and shit, which, you know, can be developmental mistakes that happen, you know, through, the developmental process, you know, for various different reasons, but nonetheless... Like, that, too, also kind of allows that to kind of crumble all down at that point. So it's like, damn, wow, your God sucks if, he's planned that, because that's a little fucked. Sounds like he's a jackass.
Again, seemingly innocuous enough. I have no doubt in my mind that this, well, okay, I shouldn't say I have no doubt. Without knowing another single thing about Julia here, which is what I am presuming is her name from the tag, I have no problem if somebody were to say she's the kindest person, most authentic person, and when she makes a post like this, she genuinely wants to bring hope to the people who don't have it. Now, on this channel, we do a lot of debunking. We point out why something is illogical, why something is wrong. And so often, we are having to fight against people's not notions of truth, but notions of feeling wanted and desired when they maybe hadn't before. Because this is the thing with religion and Christianity. And again, this one's the light one. The next one really bugs me, and I think it'll really bug you too. But when you look at this, you just see this idea that you who might feel worthless, you who might feel the entire universe was made with you in mind. And it's a very uplifting feeling. It's a very appealing feeling. I can understand why that would feel so good. But what matters is if it's true. Because to get attached to that, to get all of the community and the benefits that come with joining that religion, and it will feel like benefits. Because if you're having problems in your life, so many problems, maybe most of them, probably not all of them, but so many problems can be solved by having community. And so that's what happens is they draw you in, especially people who are vulnerable, people who feel hopeless, people who might be experiencing depression and just desperately need community. And they tell you your life's going to get better because of God. The reasons why some of these people's lives do get better, though if you belong to, how many people...
I mean, I've seen a lot of this myself, too, about what he's saying. I mean, which pretty much all of that is true. I mean, that's exactly how a lot of religion gets you. And, or at least how they get a lot of people who are in the most desperate time and need. I've seen some birth defects say, and if someone worships a god who does that, they should get their head checked. Also, fuck people who label obvious tragedies as blessings in disguise, which again, it's good to see the silver line, but it's basically like saying God's testing you. But not even necessarily that. It's basically saying like, oh, God basically purposely fucked you up by, making, mistakes in you purposely by, and then, masquerading that as a blessing when, it's just like, for someone who's like, who creates humans in such a perfect image and shit, it seems like he kind of fucked up, every now and then. So, how's that work? I never really understood the ideology of people who argue if you then proceed to claim. Actually, we are on opposite sides of this issue, bitch. What? We just spent time taking a... Yeah.
to Christianity and figured out they were queer, and then their life got a lot worse. But you've been told your life's going to get better, and that's because of God. You see your life get better because community is what's making it better. Having people and resources is what's making it actually better. But you're being told that's God. That's what's doing it. And so you see something like this that feels very uplifting. It feels nice. It even, to a person who used to have a religion like this, it can evoke that feeling. And you can have that moment of like, what did I turn my back on? And they teach you to immediately think, I turned my back on God. I turned my back on love and goodness. And in reality, the thing you're actually missing is I turned my back on community, and I turned my back on systems that helped in some ways, but because they propped up such toxic things, such harmful things, because there are so many loving people out there doing bad things. I've talked about this before. I've not made a dedicated video. Maybe I will at some point. I have such conflict every time I see Mark Rober is on anything, because Mark Rober he's like one of the nicest people, it seems like, on all of YouTube. Now he's been on Jimmy Kimmel. He did Hot Ones recently. And he makes millions of dollars because he's one of the biggest engineering channels. He has one of the most magnetizing personalities. You feel good watching him. He has an energy that makes you feel positive. But I also know that 10% of his income goes to fight against queer rights. Not literally and directly, but because he is an active Mormon in good
Ew.
standing, at least.
Mark Rover, who's that? I mean, I don't know who he is. I guess some popular YouTuber and shit, but I guess because, of a lot of his background being a Mormon, he goes, spends a good chunk of his money against queer rights and shit. Again, I don't know who he is either, so, I mean, just sounds like another typical kind of like apolitical, right-wing, chuckle fucking, religious moron, really. Well, I guess political, but, like, apolitical in a sense, at least when it comes to their content, I guess.
The church, it would have been in the last couple of years, and he hasn't publicly stated so, but there were hints in his channel, and then some of them became very, very obvious that he was an active Mormon. Things that you only see from active Mormons in good standing. So active Mormons, the fact that there's like pictures of Mormon temples in his house, and then finally seeing the peak.
He's associated with Mr. Beast, major red flag. Oh God, gross.
Of the Mormon garments in some episodes as well, and it's hard for me because to support him means to potentially support him financially. And again, Mormonism takes 10% of that income, and Mormonism absolutely is still a force fighting against rights of people who don't meet the cishet nuclear family ideal. And if he were to turn to actually trying to draw people into his religion, I guarantee you I'd be making tons of videos about him. And unfortunately, even these people who might be more progressive Christians, and I have no idea whether or not Julia is, drawing in toward Christianity is a crapshoot. Because once you bring the person in, where they actually land in those beliefs and who else intercepts them, I even worry about it with people I really love. Now, I told you there is a second one that bothers me much more. This is the stuff.
Oh boy, this one's gonna be fun. Why is Mr. Beast so popular? Dude is cringe as hell and started a little scam with his restaurant business. Well, because of a lot of money, basically. I mean, and he uses a lot of his very hyper eccentric and really frankly annoying as fuck type of character and shit to essentially, garner a lot of support, through his fans and shit as well. And basically just be able to essentially manipulate the social media algorithms to just boost a lot of his fucking support and a lot of his viewage. Is it just Fortnite children who like him? No, not just like Fortnite kids. I mean, there's like various different people that kind of watch this shit. Young adults or like Zoomers and millennials, I think. But I mean, I don't know, like really, because I don't really give a fuck about that scam artist scum shit.
Is a draw-in anecdote, and yet people find them to be proof of God. And if this person's God
I hate this shit where it's like, oh, my personal experience happened, thus God.
Is real, he is a contemptible, miserable asshole. I genuinely feel that way about this story where she is going to be talking about something rather nice that happened to her. I once again have to worry about the music. In this case, I'm just going to have to pause somewhat often because I don't know if the music in the background is something I need to worry about for this. YouTube is a fickle thing. We definitely have the right to do it, but sometimes things get caught up in machines that automatically flag it. So,
for someone out there who's worried, God does provide. So this morning, on the way home from Kentucky.
Wow, it's just like, what? Wow, what a way to start off. God does provide, if anyone's wondering. God be my character that he gave you in the first place. No, that was the devil, actually. Fuck anal as hell.
It's actually worth noting that this is even framed toward if you're having doubts right now, here is the proof that your doubts are wrong. And that's already a problem. But anyway, she's driving back from Kentucky.
Is talking to God about my financial stability and just kind of like worried about it and concerned. And
So you're talking to yourself and a Sky Daddy about your financial concerns? Well, it sounds like, just by that alone, you're never going to have, stable financial decisions in the first place, so you probably shouldn't be really, acting in independence just based off of your mental instability more so than anything else. So, yeah, I mean, you probably could, use some counseling and some therapy and, probably some psychological study and shit. Yeah.
so that way I can make it the rest of the way home. And for some reason, my card wasn't working. I could not tell you why at the time. Like, it just wasn't working, and I had no idea what to do, and I was kind of starting to panic. And this dude just pays for my gas.
So, just to reset the scene here, and actually what's really funny is it's already reminding me of something else that's other than the main point that frustrates me. She's driving. Apparently, while she's driving, she's worried about finances, and she's talking to God about finances. She goes to get gas and goes to pay for it, and her card is not working. And another person comes up and pays for the gas. Now, you can kind of tell because of what we're already talking about. She's going to talk about the greatness of God here. So the point that I was going to say that...
Honestly, like, I already can tell where this is going. I guarantee that Jimmy's probably going to say the same thing. But, like, basically the whole premise is essentially, it's just like, oh, my card wasn't working, probably because you're overdrawn or don't have any more money or not enough money to pay for the gas and shit, because apparently you make very shitty financial decisions. Or something, I don't know what. Shit, like, some evidently, you don't got, good financial stability happening and shit. I mean, not gonna entirely dog on her for that, but I just kind of, having some speculation. She ain't exactly... very much of a bright bulb considering her religious fanaticism about this shit. I mean, it's not like the same, like, fervor as, like, a moron Titan Green, but it's still religious fanaticism, though. It's just like it's just not like a violently dangerous fanaticism. It's just like I'm fanatic about it because, God's done so much for me, yay! It's just like... You feel like, it's basically just like, oh, he's so good to me, so I want to spread his goodness. Like, it's like that fanaticism. And honestly, that's just more annoying than anything. Like, honestly. Like, that's kind of the more general fanaticism you will see, usually. And it's just so fucking annoying. It's like, oh my God, I don't care, go away. Like, oh, yeah, God did so much for you. It's like, yeah, no, he didn't. Because, even in her story already, it's like, yeah, dude came up to you and helped pay for your gas. Yeah, there's honestly been times, not for gas, but for, like, other things where, my card won't work, because usually there isn't money in it, or it didn't totally process when I, put money in the account, because, it needs to wait for the next business day or whatever the fuck. And, someone's like, hey, it's only like $5, I'll pay for it, or some shit like that. And it's just like, oh, and I'm like, hey, cool, thanks, man. That's really awesome of you. And it's like, oh, yeah, not a problem, bro. That's usually how it goes and stuff, or whatever. Because, I've done that too for some people. Like, at my work, it'll be like, oh, I'm $1 short on a thing. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I have a spare $1, whatever, ain't a big deal. So it's like I've done that before and shit, because, that's just, that's called a thing that humans do. That's called having empathy and, showing a little bit of, like, care for your fellow man a little bit. I mean, I guess that would actually, more Jesus version of Christendom, but be more of a Jesus... I'm pretty much acting more like a Christian, at least, from, like, the more Sermon of the Mount that Jesus, was espousing and shit, and from his general life philosophy anyway. But pretty much most Christians these days never follow that anyway. And also, like, it's why I mentioned the Sermon on the Mount, because what this chick is doing is really the exact opposite of what one mention of the sermon is saying, which is to pray in a closet, because if you seek your gifts and your rewards from God, you pray by yourself with him. It's a one-on-one thing. That's kind of the whole premise of praying, right? So when you see all these people who pray, or doing all that type of shit in public, they've already gotten their reward, which is like, look at me, I'm praying because I love God and I'm, spreading its virtue and blah, blah, blah. It's like, they already have their reward. The ones that pray in the closet get the rewards. It's so, it's like basically saying, hey, pray in the closet, quit being a proselytizer. Don't, be like shoving it down everyone's fucking throat.
Thing that frustrates me about this
But,
is
wait,
still
hold
something
on.
that
I missed some of these comments here. How much power does the devil have exactly? Because I thought God was way more powerful than you. For some reason, a bunch of shit not resulting from free will is running rampant throughout humanity. I don't know about you, but if I pay for someone's whatever and their thing to God, I would be a little annoyed. They don't have to thank me personally, but attributing it to God seems rude. Yeah, at least to me, a little bit. Like, even if they're not, like, necessarily outright thankful, towards me, it's like, it's like, whatever, Usually, like, if it's, like, a couple bucks or, like, at most $5 and I, got money in my pocket still, it's like, I'm not gonna fucking fret it usually, you know what I mean? Because, like I said earlier, it's because I have, like, a sense of care and empathy for my fellow man, but I don't do it all the time because sometimes I don't got the cash, myself, for my shit, and I have, like, the money for the stuff I have, too. It's like, I need it, because it's just enough for the things I have, It's like, sometimes I can't do it. And there's been situations where I've been in that spot where it's like, oh, fuck, I'm $1.02 short or my card ain't working, so, it's just like, it's not karma thing, but it's like, if that is your thing, then I guess you could see it as that, where it's like, good karma out, you get good karma in type of shit or whatever the fuck, it's like, I don't really believe or give a fuck about that shit, honestly, but like, the whole idea, I guess, I like the idea, I suppose, because, if you generally, it's like, the idea is like, if you, are being good to other people, chances are that's going to spread because, other people are going to recognize that and be good to other people themselves, or at least more likely, and thus, likely you're going to have good, brought back to you because, it's like a reciprocal thing type of thing. Which I can get. I kind of understand, actually, where, the whole idea of karma comes from, especially on, like, kind of a social level, but it's like, it's not like some weird, like, dimensional, like, spiritual thing. It's just, if people recognize, that people around them are doing good stuff, they're going to want to partake in it too, because they also want to be like, oh, people are doing good things for me, and around here, well, yeah, I should do good stuff, for people too. I want to look good, it's sometimes, even if it's just for some narcissistic reason. But hell, even if it is for that case, at least you are kind of going out there and, helping people a little bit, because, hell. It's at least, some way to kind of spread the whole good, I suppose. But you don't need God to do it. It's just having a good conscience, basically. Went down to 77 in my apartment, it's a miracle. Yeah, it's honestly not really, like, too hot in here. It hasn't even really been, like, super hot today, honestly. It was warm, but definitely not as hot as it has been the last few days. It's kind of a little, stuffy in here, but, I've been smoking weed off and on, for 2.5 hours now, so it's gonna be that way. So I'm, like, a little schvetzy, but not that bad.
I'll set another hypothetical that happens all the time. You probably know someone who's done this. Have you ever known somebody who has sought medical attention for an issue they were having and they got a resolution? Could be a severe issue, it doesn't even have to be that severe, who then gave credit to their healing, for their healing, to God. Mm-hmm. Not the doctors, not the pharmacists, not the people.
Yeah, I know this way too often.
In their lives who took care of them, not any of the people who, through years and over a decade in the case of a lot of doctors, of schooling and training, figured out how to take care of them. All of that work and everything, even just to believe God put those people in your path to heal you, means God is really taking control of significant people's lives. But in reality, Christians, usually this is true anyway, go about thinking that they have agency, but they have these subconscious ideas that basically nobody else does. Because if God puts somebody in their path to help them, or God, if they feel blessed by God to have somebody else in their life, that means they think God is doing some amount of manipulation to their agency to put them there. Right? That it's all part of God's plan and everything. It's sort of this thinking you're the main character in a video game versus an NPC, or that you...
I mean, it almost seems like solipsism without like you're literally the center figure of the universe. I mean, because that would be God, but like you're just like one of the main, parts of that in a sense. So like you're kind of like an offshoot of the broader solipsist, that runs the fucking thing. Like, so it is almost like a very video game like NPC-ish thinking. Kind of curious. A lot of the far right usually, especially they go off about the woke, or go off about all that type of shit, or how these woke NPCs and shit, they tend to act far more like NPCs than pretty much like most fucking lefties I've met. Not like I haven't seen NPC like style progressives or leftists and shit, like they do exist, but like, I mean, I'm just gonna go by numbers here, and I think there's a lot more of the right version versus like left NPC shit, so I mean, it's like I said, it's not like they don't exist, I mean they do, but I mean, ad nauseum, ad infinitum, like what, like a bird in hand, two in the bush situation where you like got like a little something. It's like, oh wow, yeah, so many woke NPCs, so many of them. God's just manipulating them, for a more broader agenda for us to get a lot more closer to see the real revelations. That Satan will really be defeated, brother. That's right. Pray God. Ave Maria. So God's stupid doctors go to medical school. What saps? Learning this woke, liberal, goddamn science. The ancient Greece knew otherwise because of my holy book. Yeah. I mean, yeah, for real.
Who survives the zombie apocalypse? Statistics say
I'll see this in a sec.
Zombie. But anyway, it very much frustrates me how much religion teaches people to not just, if you feel like you have to give your gratitude to something greater than yourself, I can even somewhat understand that impulse. But if it stops you from giving gratitude to the people who deserve it, to the people who it costs something to be there for you, if any of the things I did volunteer-wise, instead of them ever expressing like, hey, thank you for volunteering, they thanked God instead, I would be very tempted to not volunteer at that place anymore.
If you become a zombie, did you survive or not? I mean, you I guess it depends on, because they're still kicking in a manner of speaking. Well, I guess it depends on the type of zombie we're talking about, I guess, because there are like different, zombies in a sense. Like, I mean, there's different standards in a sense. So, I mean, it kind of depends, I guess. Like, if we're talking like Walking Dead zombies, no, you didn't survive, you're dead. But if it's like, I mean, what's that fucking movie? I think 24 Days Later, I think. Or 28 Days Later, because those zombies are, 28 Days Later, yeah, because in that movie, I think the zombies are not dead, they're just extremely feral humans, and are essentially ran on sheer rage, bloodlust, and anger, and will, like, run at you like, well, a feral zombie, and chase you and shit. So basically, like, unironically, 28 Days Later will probably actually be the one where the zombies are still actually alive, and also the fucking worst zombie apocalypse, and also, in another fucked way, probably the more realistic one. And if that ends up being a zombie apocalypse, I don't give a fuck how much survival prep you have, you're fucking done. Just wrap it up, just, don't try. Don't speedrun, just speedrun it. Just speedrun the fucking, apocalypse, and just be done with it, okay? Like, don't try to extend that, it would be bad. You don't want it, okay? It would be bad. methods of extra steps. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like, you get Roblox, but Roblox doesn't want you, so you're stuck as a zombie. Oh, God. Funny enough, back in the day when I first discovered Roblox, back in, like, 2008, the first game I played was I Am Legend, and... Well, one of the games on there, and, well, obviously it's... Hey! Shut up! And obviously, given a name, it's a zombie game, and... Honestly, it's just like, I've been a zombie so many times in my, you know, as a little etchling back in the day. Zukov, fuck off. Guys, relax, why? They're zombies! Yeah, but they're also British! Splashes him with coffee.
Cause would matter more, but it would make you feel unappreciated. And humans want to feel appreciated, and yet we have learned this way. So many, and I had been this way too, had learned this way to intercept the gratitude that we actually should be showing each other. That we would all have better lives if we just treated each other better, and this is one of those ways, and give it to some force that we can't even prove exists. And yet you have a story like this that... We'll get to the part that really enrages me, and I'll probably get a little ragey. We'll get to that here shortly.
I don't know if y'all have seen gas prices right now, but gas is expensive, so, like, the fact that he pays my gas was insane.
Wow, she did this whole point. Like, honestly, that's, like, kind of a little, like, I mean, a political dog whistle. Not like a far-right radical one, just kind of a conservative one. Like, I guess your generic, typical conservative talking point about gas prices, you know, that shit. So, honestly, it's not like a serious one, but, I mean, it is a dog whistle, though. It's like, y'all have seen the gas prices, you know. You know, it's just kind of implying it. It's like, oh, yeah, you know why the gas prices are bad. I don't need to say it. It's like... Oh, so, okay, it basically confirms that you are kind of a right-winger, too, so, alright. Yeah, the whole, need to be probably checked out site work thing I was saying earlier, yeah, more confident about that. Especially considering you have financial issues as well, yeah, you probably aren't exactly, you know, capable of being independent due to, a lack of brain.
Bree, what a nice, kind gesture for a stranger to do.
Which is true, honestly. Like, I mean, yeah, given gas prices, yeah, I mean, it probably is less likely for someone to be generous to do that. But, I mean, the whole, like, honestly, like, there's I mean, it's not like with people, but also with just, like, the natural world around us that, you know, you'll have these, like, you know, weirdos that also will thank God and shit. Because when I was at the Ross Perot Museum in 2018-ish about, when I was with some of my folks checking that place out, checking out, like, some of the geology shit there, like, some of, like, the crystals and rocks they had, they basically were just like, it's like, wow, all this was because of God. Beautiful. I don't think that was what it was verbatim, but it was pretty much exactly that. It was pretty damn close. and I happened to be, like, in front of him, and I looked back, and I just kind of, like... I had to, like, sit there and, like, realize if I shake my head like this and just go, oh, like, oh my God, like, I just heard that, they're gonna see that. And I had to kind of just sit there and just, like, just kind of stare at a void. Just, like, in the display of, like, this, like, crystal that I was looking at. Just, like, try to find a way to, like, just mesmerize myself with a crystal instead. Like, I was just like, I'm just gonna zone out from life right now. Because it's just ridiculous. It's so absurd. It's like, I mean, I guess it's like one thing to be like looking at like a rock or something and be like, God. And, you know, just not understand, like, geology and the science of how and why that is the way it is, you know, as a rock or a crystal, you know, and just do God a gap shit. Like, I kind of get that at least, you know, well, at least more in comparison to just, like, not, you know, giving someone some gratitude, being like, oh, thanks, bro. Or, like, thanks, doctor, you actually helped me. It's just like, nah, thank God. It's like, I mean, it's kind of a low-key fuck you, though. honestly, because just like, because like isn't it just like pretty much like saying, oh no, it was like straight up, it wasn't like these doctors or this generous person or like the kindness of, of humans. It's just like the fact that there's like this agency of God that is just overseeing everything around me.
Hypothesize on why somebody might do that and why somebody else might not have gotten the same help from a random stranger man. They would only be guesses, even if we can be pretty sure. And it's kind of frustrating with that theme of like, and so this thing in which way in which I have been privileged, that privilege must extend to all through God. That's where it's all going to fall apart. But again, that's not where the rage is.
So anyway, I get my gas and I start getting back on the road, heading home. And I'm just talking to God about like that miracle that just was performed, like how grateful I am.
A miracle that was performed. God did a performance instead of a man just, being generous. That's another thing that they do. They're like, oh, a miracle was performed. Oh, it's like a lot of shit to them is also like a lot of pageantry, like legitimately. I mean, it's to where it's just like kind of this, like performance almost, like, where they see the world and their life is almost like a play. I mean, they kind of do, honestly. I mean, so it makes sense. Imagine if a Christian helped someone and then they thanked Allah and and said that he didn't send them to help. Oh my Lord. No, I don't even know how the Christian also reacted. I'd be like, that wasn't the right God.
Hear God say.
Imagine too when you hear about miracles, and we talk to people about miracles, and they talk about how miracles are proof of God, and what a shallow proof. Because she hasn't identified a single thing that is supernatural, that is miraculous. Everything so far, totally possible in just the natural world. Still not my issue.
I mean, it's partially mine so far. I mean, it's kind of built me up a little bit. I mean, right now at least. Just because, like, I mean, I hate this whole thing about, like, this also happened, this is another thing that my mom will tell as a story, actually. Because it happened to her, but obviously not for the religious perspective that she thinks. But, back when she was in, college, when she was, like, 19, so you could, imagine, like, fucking, probably, like, what, late-ass 60s, early fucking 70s, somewhere around that time frame. Like, way back in the day, obviously. But, anyway, the timeline not really that important. But, like, so, like, she was... I forgot the specific details, but basically, like, there was, like, this little coffee table and this coffee mug, on it. Or not coffee mug, but, like, like the... like how you have, like, those little coffee makers and you got that big old, like, jar, this glass and shit. And that fell, and she... and that fell over on, and that shattered, and a glass shard jabbed right into a very vital vein into her ankle and her leg, and a lot of nerve endings too. It was basically at that point bleeding out, and she was starting to get to the point of near like knockout, conscious blood loss. And at that point, the doctors were there and taking her to the hospital by that rate. But she literally thought that process. And you can imagine, and this is also, I think, even study-wise been proven that usually, especially people, even if they are religious or in a kind of a lucid state, regardless of really the context, but, like in context like that, like if there's like a lot of blood loss or just in a very, very lucid state, similar, to something like that, they will obviously be, probably seeing or imagining things and shit. And, obviously with that, they're not going to have a total grasp of a sense on reality. And when they're seeing lights and things, they're going to be thinking, oh, that's like, the angels or like the gates of heaven or whatever. Because she literally thought that, like, some of the lights she saw were basically, angels literally watching her, essentially. Which is like, which frankly, it's like, I mean, I'm not like gonna be like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? That's not that what it is. It's like, cause obviously it's a near-death experience. I'm not gonna just be like, what? I mean, well, I am here. But, you know, it's just like, it is like, what the fuck, are you serious? Like, those are the doctors literally saving your life. And honestly, there was a question of whether to even amputate her leg, or her foot at least. Just because of how bad the shard, got in and shit. Which, it's like, I mean, her, to this day, she still has, permanent, nerve damage to where she can't feel some of her foot. And, it's kind of honestly a little weird just because I can't really, like, imagine how that would feel. I mean, she still has, like, the massive scar on the side of her foot, too, so, I mean, it was a thing, and she had to get, like, a couple surgeries and shit, for it, but, nonetheless, it was okay, but I wonder how that happened, that she ended up still being alive, though. It's like doctors did that. But angels watched over her that whole time. It's just like, ugh. It's kind of insulting. It's just like, I mean, it's a little insulting to the doctors, at that time. I don't know if any of them are alive at this point, but it's just like, they'd probably be rolling in a grave. Well, maybe not, I don't know. Like, it depends on what their views were, I guess. They're probably Christians too, so they'll probably be like, yes, God help, set this over here and blah, blah, blah. Who fucking knows? But either way, it's just kind of demeaning and insulting. Fucking s'mores tonight. S'mores sound awesome. I had taquitos before I started this, and they were delicious.
Because I wanted to show you that I'm going to provide for you.
Now we're getting into it a little bit. Now we're getting closer. What she just said was that God made her card not work so she could have the experience of understanding she will be financially, in a very non-blessings in heaven way, physically in the real world, financially provided for if she just has faith. I'm going to let her talk a little bit more, and then I'm going to get, ranty.
And after God said that, I just start praising him, and I'm just thanking him and talking to him about his endless love. Because, like, we really don't deserve the love that God gives for us.
Let's just...
Like, we really don't deserve the love that God gives for us.
This to another issue with...
I thought you were saying there is, where the rant comes in. Because honestly, that's honestly where, for me, I'm about to kind of want to rant a little. Because, that's just... I just hate that shit. Because I thought, because that's just another form of demeaning and undermining and, just a sense of fucking trying to, like, insult, not just, humanity and other people that, potentially could be helping you, but also yourself. Because we don't deserve God's love. We don't deserve this. And it's just like, well, frankly, bitch, you don't, because you're psycho. But, like, fucking, this whole, weird shit of, like, oh, well, we don't deserve this love. It's like, yeah, because what? God might, Sodom and Gomorrah, the whole planet or some shit. Like, God's wrath's gonna be hitting, any second or whatever the fuck. Which, some of you motherfuckers love anyway, because you think it's going after the gay people. Some of y'all, like, worship, like the wrath of God or whatever, because, of a lot of the sin, that's propagated around and shit. Because of this fucking mentality. Of this, like, oh, we don't deserve God's love. It's like, oh, it's like, you fuck. It's like, man, it's like, I mean, I guess Jimmy's not quite rant mode yet, but, like, fuck, I'm there now. I mean, it's like, man, I guess I just find him, more, just more detestable than him, I guess, in a sense, because he obviously is coming from far more humanist perspective. At this point, I literally could not give a fuck about them, so, like, I mean, I don't really give a shit. Your bro brought a fancy-ass Lincoln. Funny enough, my mom used to own a Lincoln. It was actually really nice. It was a fucking actually pretty nice little car. Good little cruiser, honestly. Them guys find this pair and starts to fade away. Wait, no! Oh my god, dude. Just get Thanos, like, God Thanos snaps all the gays out, and they like, half of these fucking Christians, like, it's like, yes! Look at San Francisco depopulate en masse as they get, disappeared by the will of God. Just, their arm starts dissipating. It's like, wait, what? No! It's VA hardly or probably approve. Oh, really? I need to ask my mom what that Lincoln that she used to have, was, because I don't know if that one was a V8 or not. It had a really nice big front engine area. It was a pretty nice fancy little vehicle, honestly. I don't know what model or anything like that, so I have to ask my mom and see what the model was, so I can at least show a picture of what it looked like. It was this emerald green color too. Nice leather interior.
Of Christianity, it's a lot of making people recognize. It's supposed to be sort of humbling, but it comes with this original sin concept, this idea of being filthy. This is where things like purity culture come in. It's masochistic in the most negative way. You're just supposed to really despise and be disgusted by yourself. This God who allows cancer in babies, this God
who also apparently creates everything perfectly in his image. He makes everyone perfect in his image, and yet, fuck the queers, and also, let's have these, people have cancer or be more disposed to it, have genetic mutations on babies, so on and so forth,
People to be tortured, who allows people to die, this God who lets horrible things like the Holocaust happen.
It's all part of God's plan, brother. It's all part of God's plan for, a bigger agenda of good, to spread on this planet.
Modern day North Korea, horrible things like the Uyghur genocide happening in China right now, literally past, present, and future, true, complete tragedies. That's the guy whose love we don't deserve, and who we don't deserve our $40, $60, $80 tank of gas to be covered by. And remember, we've already cut out the middleman. In this story, that middleman who actually paid for her gas has already been cut out. It was God's blessing, not that man. Now, what that man's motivations were, maybe I would be grossed out by that man too. But as far as who actually did...
Oh my God. I mean, I'm willing to give the guy a benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was just a trucker, who was, driving around, passing by or some shit. I mean, I don't know if she was, in town or, on the highway or something. If she said on the highway, I imagine maybe she's, outside of town, so maybe, at a truck stop, gas station, maybe, going back into town to head home or something like that. And fucking... I'm assuming that, a trucker or maybe, another traveler who probably has, some spare spendable income, thought, oh, well, this person's probably out of town and out of the way, might as well help this person so they can at least get home or at least to their destination and, be able to at least figure out things from there and get their financial needs settled, hopefully. And blah, 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 and all that. So it's just it's just basic human nature logic type of shit. It's hey, yeah, if there's a random person who's traveling who is probably going to be stuck, not really, close to home at all. Yeah, I mean, especially as just a, casual Samaritan, if I have the means, sure, I'll at least, be able to help out a little bit if I can. If not, then I hope they do find, some help, but... it's at that point, well, I can't. And frankly, honestly, it's these weirdos, it's a part of me is very reluctant to help them, because, I'm just gonna be undermined and basically be cut out of their whole fucking life anyway, of oh, wow, that person was really nice. It's no, God did it. It's well, it's fuck you too then, bro. or sis, or either way. It's you're kind of an asshole. It's I help you, and you're just nah, not even thank you, just thank the Lord, praise Jesus. It's I helped you, I'm right here, right? I literally helped you, I mean, it's you can at least have the courtesy to do it in the car, like this chick did. But she didn't have that courtesy, because she's fucking proselytizing it and getting her just rewards that Jesus was criticizing about on the Sermon on the Mount by proselytizing it on TikTok. So This is like that whole, like, that's why I mentioned the whole Sermon on the Mount thing, because this bitch is basically the prime example of what Jesus was talking about with that whole, like, you know, pray in the closet, because those who pray publicly, this is an example of that. I mean, she's not directly doing it, but pretty much, you know, proselytizing her story of her prayer and, you know, of God's glory and stuff. They already have their reward, which is the intention of the public, which is what they want, which is, hence, they already got their rewards. So it's just like, you know, God ain't rewarding you, bitch. You already got yours with the little fucking public attention-seeking narcissism that you are, with the, you know, that you have. Because that's what you are. It's just a little narcissist.
That's total speculation. I have no idea. But as far as who actually did the deed, we've already cut that guy out.
Yet he still continues to love us. No matter how many times we stab him in the back, he still continues to provide for us. How many times we...
You're literally stabbing his son in the back by, you know, going against this whole big sermon. Like, you're a dumbass. I'm like anti-theist, especially to your fucking religion, and I'm more of a Christian than you.
Cheat, whatever it is.
And you continue to love him and defend him as he continues to be evil. I think this is how the rest of the thing goes. I just want to come back to that story and talk about the part that bothers me so much. And if you know, pause here if you want. You can put in the comments what you think it's going to be. It's a fun little game to be. You tell me what you think of this video, and as much as we've watched so far. It seems to me...
Oh man, he's only a little under halfway or a little over halfway to it. Oh man. His love. I feel like the backhand of an alcoholic step-parent. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, I'm also kind of curious. I mean, he's kind of bit his tongue on his rant, but I think it's because the moment has passed and, you know, he's wanting to build up. And I feel like, honestly, it's cutting the middleman out part, and basically the whole, like, we don't deserve God's love because, you know, he's such a miracle worker and, you know, guides, you know, like, you know, providence and shit like that, you know, for those that worship him and shit like, I mean, it's going to be, yeah, at least along those lines.
That she is saying God wanted to prove how much she matters to him by taking care of something like gas. Gasoline, that is technically a commodity, where she lives in a country where she is privileged to clearly have electricity, a smartphone, and such. I, from an early age, even in Mormon church that I was attending, even believing in Jesus Christ, even believing in the power of prayer, thought that it was pretty wild and pretty crazy that people would tell stories about, I paid my tithing, I did this for God or this for God, and he blessed me by coming up with the means by which I could get milk for my family, or coming up with the means for, again, almost always giving the credit that of something somebody else did. In fact, let's come back centered. Of something somebody else did, giving that credit to God instead.
Yep. So essentially, I mean, essentially, basically, you know, what I was saying, like, basically, like, cutting out the whole middleman of the actual person that helps you, or people, or thing that helps you, you know, whatever that is, you know, whether it is a person or, you know, some other environmental aspect that does help, you know, it's just like, you know, no, it's all God, even though, in a lot of ways, you know, the whole idea is that, oh, God actually did a lot of the problems that are happening as the way to test you, which is the whole story of Job, which they always love to, you know, throw down the fucking gullet in church. You know, so this is why this type of trope comes up a lot, because it was the whole idea of the whole story of Job, too. And basically just like, oh, be tested, and, you know, and God will provide, you know, as long as I just keep my faith. And it's just like, pretty much like all the you know, shit that happens because of, like, these things is because of the material, you know, shit that is around, whether they're people or, like, you know, some other environmental factor. I mean, it's just so, it's just, like, really absurd. And frankly, legit just insulting to their fellow man. My bro's kind of overcompensating, taking a bunch of parts of the car so it's less functional in the name of weight reduction. What? Why? That's dumb. Low-key, that why does that sound like something Harley would do, dude? Like, unironically, that sounds like something Harley would do to, like, a fancy car. Like well, I guess Lincoln isn't, like, super fancy, but... I mean, well, at least the one that I had, that we had kind of growing up was actually kind of a fancy little car, but whatever. Either way.
It wasn't lost on me that these people are talking about blessings that still exist in a world and a mountain of privilege when there are humans in this world suffering who are crying out to God, who believe in Him with all their heart, who have tried to be righteous, who have tried to be... I don't know how somebody like Cheyenne here, who may be, again, the most well-meaning... I don't see this person and go, I think she's trying to get one over on people. I think she is probably a victim of Christian culture before she becomes a perpetuator of what is dark and wicked about it.
I mean, I honestly agree. I mean, I think she was just like, you know, just didn't really have much of a brain. It kind of developed down into that Christian right-wing path anyway, just because of that. I mean, all in all, they might seem like generally nice and, you know, well-meaning people for the most part, but not exactly, you know, the brightest bulb in the box, you know, all in all, just when it comes to, like, politics or, you know, the world around them and the worldview, you know, literally and otherwise, you know, because, you know, they just, I mean, like, critical thinking is just, you know, not something that, you know, developed in them. That's not, like, something that is, like, inherent, really. I mean, that's just something that wasn't really taught or, you know, something that was, like, tended to, you know, when they were growing up. So they just kind of like, oh, yeah, you know, it's like, well, I don't understand this thing, so God the gaps, you know, maybe it was God. Oh, this good thing happened in my life. It is God. I'm a Christian now. I mean, it's just like, you know, or just like, I'm at the very low point of my life. Man, oh, this church, you know, is saying they can help me out. Oh, damn, they really did help me out. I'm a Christian now. I love Jesus. It's just like, And if only we actually, like, gave a fuck about critical thinking. But then we do actually have educated populace that would probably be very proactive about not having the... Well, that's just about to get into another rant. We don't need to get into that right now.
If your God cares more about you to the point of getting you free gas from a buddy, but won't do anything about the parasites boring themselves into the eyes of children in Africa, won't do anything about the AIDS epidemic, won't do anything about so much suffering, so much famine right now, drought right now, things that are turning people to violence, won't do anything to directly intervene to those who are doing violence in his name. But he'll say, I'm going to stop the universe to get Cheyenne some gas, to say, if you trust me, I'll provide for you. When there are so many people in this
query all that to begin with. Exactly.
World shouting out to that God, going, where are you? I am here because I trust you to be here. I am showing up and I am giving everything to you. Save my child. Save me. Save my family. Save this suffering. Save this pain. Save this disease. Save someone. And we always see examples. I know that there was also in that list of TikTokers, I know that there was also examples of people claiming to be healing like pain, and I remember seeing it, and it was, maybe it got reshuffled into the list, but it's always these like invisible healings where it's, we're going around and, you know, here are some people at a skate park saying they have pain in their knees that is really bothering them, and we're healing them. And it's always these invisible injuries, and it's always these gestures that could just be people. So this God is willing to heal the pain of a person who's got knee pain from skateboarding.
Like a invisible healing that, like, I mean, just go to a fucking psych ward. Like, I mean, for real, like, that shit is like, oh, I'm basically gonna be a weird adult that's just gonna loiter around a skate park with a bunch of teenagers and young adults and just, like, you know, creepishly, like, you know, lord over them and, you know, pray for them and basically, you know, like, heal their, you know, scrapes and knee pains and, you know, sores, you know, that they might feel, or, you know, like their body sores, you know, that they might be feeling, you know, from, like, skateboarding all day, or, you know, or falling on their ass, you know, while skateboarding or some shit. It's just like, yeah, it's like, hey, guess what, there, religious foo-foo head? Like, the human body doesn't always, like, stay constantly in pain. Like, if you have, like, a little scrape from the skate park, I mean, especially if you're skating around, chances are you're not gonna, you know, feel that pain forever. It's gonna just kind of go away. You're not gonna really notice it until you, like, look at it again when you get home. I mean, it's just like, I mean, like, it's like, you fucking kidding me? Like, are we serious? Same thing with, like, typical sores and pains. In fact, honestly, my knee is starting to feel like it's flaring up now with, like, a little soreness right now, just because, like, fuck, I mean, just talking about it, you know, it's, you know, make my brain think about it. Now it's like, my knee's all hurting. Well, maybe I should get one of these invisible healers, you know, to, you know, do something about it. If you heal this man of his psychological issues, though, the power of God, he commits a mass shooting in the following month. Dude, what if there's, like, some fucking church that, like, brings, like, some kid up, you know, as, like, you know, we have healed this child, and we've done hard work, you know, to bless this child, and, you know, and have God, you know, really true him, show him his ways, you know, true him, show him the righteousness, and blah, 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 and all this foo-foo shit, and then, yeah, like, literally a month later, it's on the news that this motherfucker, like, slaughtered, like, 15 people at a mall or something. Same dude that was at, like, you know, some big church or whatever the fuck. You know, it's just basically as a way to be anointed by God to give him, like, some religious justification or some shit, and, you know, played it up as, like, I'm doing good, yay, Jesus loves me. Which some of these fucking mass shooters do feel that way, though. So honestly, this actually doesn't really, like, unironically, I have a feeling that if, you know, like, maybe not soon, but I have a feeling that this probably will eventually be an actual scenario at some point. Hey! I mean, this is America after all.
With a limb regrowing, there's never a healing with a significant deformation that is causing the pain going away. It's always these arbitrary things posted as proof that God is great and loving and we don't deserve him. He created all of life, right? So that includes those eye boring into baby's eye parasites, right?
Yeah.
But we don't deserve his love. That's how filthy and disgusting we are. I'm stealing this. I'm stealing the following from somebody else. I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't deserve your God's love when the difference between me and your God is I would cure baby cancer, and I don't deserve his love. Oh, but if we cure baby cancer, that person won't have the agency of going through that struggle. You mean like the ones that don't live to ever be an adult? Well, but what about the family who has to deal with the death of that child? That's how your God tests people? And I don't deserve his love?
And that also, you know, kind of strangely, you know, seems to be a little, against the whole pro-life idea, too, by the way. It's like, well, you know, it's like the family that lost their baby at, like, 1 day old because of, you know, some internal baby cancer or some shit that was going on developing in him. And then, you know, the actual psychological trauma of these parents and the family wanting this child, and yet it died. Instead of, you know, and especially because of their very pro-life mentality and shit, probably also, like aren't, you know, probably keen on having abortions, so they think, oh, we could beat the cancer just with the power of prayer of God, and, you know, blah, 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 and his agents and angels that, you know, are guiding these doctors, you know, that are totally not the actual fucking agents who are, you know, helping out and fucking trying to like combat the cancer in the baby, but nah, it's gonna be like angels overseeing them and basically guiding them like they're fucking puppets or something, or fucking like, just like some telepathic like energy, that God is just like, just like psyching it down on people or some shit. It's like, give me a fucking break, man.
None of what I'm saying are proof God doesn't exist. He could exist and be the malicious, capricious prick that I've just described. And could exist. But don't tell me I'm not worthy of him. Don't tell me that I don't deserve him when I can see with my own two goddamn eyes all the shit he's missing. And so this is more about the messaging. You can find tons on this channel if you want to.
I mean, honestly, if anything, like, if I'm not worthy, and frankly, considering if, God is the prick that he is, then I don't want to be worthy ever. Like, if there's anything I am worthy of, I'm worthy of the most strongest venomous condemnation, by that God that I can ever get. Because fuck that God. Like, I'd go on, I'd join the demons, in the fucking end times, battling out against the angels and shit, if, if that's what it took to strike that God down. I mean, fuck it.
Stuff that are direct
Let's go, baby.
Of claims Christian.
At least I'll have, like, sexy demon chicks and demon femboys, and demon, like, stud, like, bare bod demons, that, like, fuck around with, you know what I mean? It's like, and not fuck around and find out, but like, fuck around and have fun.
The last one I did about TikTok was a person literally listing out proofs they have of the Bible, and I debunked them one by one, and it's not even that hard to do. It's not hard to debunk Noah's Ark. It's not hard to debunk many of these world-changing miracles. But when you get outside of just the what you can prove, and it's just about what you can make a person feel, what story you can shift a person's beliefs and solidify their beliefs, not with good information, not with facts, not with figures, but with something that undoubtedly this Cheyenne felt like it was God, has been trained to take away the attributions of gratitude that that man deserved and give it to a different force, has been trained to do that. As a result of that training, genuinely feels like this is that expression of love. This is that expression of somebody reaching out. And the people...
Ugh. I mean, honestly, it's just so creepy and gross. And let's just say all this shit was just saying, I'll just save you from spending a life on dying planet and having to spend an eternity with a narcissist. Well, thanks, Lucifer. No problem, kiddo. We got a Sunday bar down in the hall. Yay!
To hear her message and go, man, maybe that's what I should do. Maybe that's something I should look into. Are going to be people who are feeling more alone, who are feeling more hopeless, who are financially struggling. And I got to tell you, if you're financially struggling, turning to an organization that's going to want to take your money, probably not your best move, except for you may literally, through the community, find somewhere to work. That's one of the things Mormons do. They keep their work circles really tight within the church. And so you join the church and you feel like God is blessing you, when in reality it's people giving you jobs. But they'll even say God didn't. Like, you're even trained to not expect any gratitude. And I'm not saying in some arrogant way of everyone needs to bow down to me, but to not even take credit for your own efforts. It's gross. And you're
it's frankly, like, not just gross, but it's almost like like, I don't even think like there would be animals that would degrade themselves in this nature. Like, there would be animals that will literally, like, out of sheer survival will, like, literally will, like, gnaw off a chunk of their body just to fucking, like, survive. Like, if they're, like, stuck somewhere, like, if their limb is stuck. Like, there'll be, like, mice that will just, or, like, lizards even, like, different animals that will just be like, fuck it. Just rip that limb off and just, go. Spiders will do it. I mean, there's a lot of animals that actually will do shit like that, where they'll, like, literally just, like, do, like, self-body mutilation type of shit. And it's just like, I mean, I don't even, and even then, if they had, like, if all animals, like, that do that type of shit, like, you know, had the same sentience level as us, they would see that, you know, what they were doing and what, like, we're doing, be like, damn, like, not even I would do me myself for that, bro, and I will literally bite my fucking, like, one of my 8 legs to survive, bro. Damn, dude. I literally, like, hack half of my tail off, you know, as my little lizard self, you know, just to survive, and here you are, literally demeaning yourself and not giving yourself gratitude. Damn, bro. Mad L. Imagine if these people try peddling religion to It's Gorilla. I mean, It's Gorilla wouldn't even, like, fight them. He would just, like, just like, gaze in disappointment would just cause him to just kind of shut down and just, like, kind of realize, oh. And just kind of back away slowly and just, like, leave. And Gorilla would just be in the back, just, like, just utter one word. Shame. Shame. Shame.
I had a wedding coming up, and I had this dress, but it needed a belt, and I couldn't afford one. And then God put the perfect matching belt on sale in front of me within a day of me while praying, telling him how upset I was that I wasn't going to be able to wear that dress because I didn't have a matching belt, and it was on sale, and oh my God.
It couldn't be because, like, you know, a corporation decided to put, you know, a product on sale at their store so it could sell quicker.
Down on the side of the road, and I prayed for help, and 4 people showed up. Praise Jesus, not those 4.
I know that story. My uncle, before he passed, mentioned one time where he got kidnapped and kind of beaten the shit out of by some dudes at a bar when he was, like, doing travel photography and shit. It was literally ditched in the middle of, like, some field somewhere. And at one point he thought he was those dudes came back and were about to run him over. But it was just a Spanish family, you know, probably migrating and, you know, and trying to, like, you know, go, you know, to a local town or something like that, you know, to spend the night in and probably, like, kind of settle down or something like that. You know, probably legit. You know, my Occam's razor right mentality, you know, especially considering the area being Texas where the story is. Chances are, you know, probably like some migrants that are either moving around or maybe going back to town or some shit like that. It's like, you know, a small family, probably like 4 or 5 people, you know, some kids, parents, basically. And of course, you could probably imagine who was thanked. Not the parent, not like the Hispanic family. God. Because there's angels watching over me. There's always going to be this angels watch over me trope too, usually. It usually is. It's not always mentioned, but it usually is. Where it's like, if it's not God directly, it's like angels of God. Or like, you know, some agent of God, you know, doing so. You know, it's just like, so if it's not like God directly, it's going to be like an agent of it. Like an angel, you know, some other entity, you know, a person who's also like, you know, a believer or, you know, sent by, you know, God by some way, you know, or shape or form, like the dude buying that chick, you know, gas or whatever the fuck. Like he was sent by God, you know, as a miracle to, you know, test her faith, you know, with her card not working, whatever fucking shit. Which she's, you know, where she should think of like a star. She was born on a plot of dirt that, you know, lets her have those fucking luxuries. But, you know, never mind the fact that, you know, it's just like, oh, God, you know, must provide me some gas and stuff because, you know, I must have some faith for him, yeah. It's just so much, it just really fucking annoys me so much. And honestly, frankly, if it wasn't for the last couple of days of work, I would be a little more venomous with things, honestly, because it's just like, I mean, it's just so absurd and really legitimately fucking assaulting. I mean, honestly, because it's just like, you basically disregard, you know, everything, you know, like other natural elements of the world that, you know, aid you, mostly other people, and just say, nah, it wasn't them. It's kind of the same thing about, like, how people will say, like, oh, aliens, you know, either in total or in some part had a role in, like, ancient, you know, architecture and shit, like the pyramids or some shit, even though, like, it's been proven literally multiple times that it is possible for ancient humans to build structures like that, because not only are they literally fucking there, but it's been, you know, literally reconstructed in the sense of the process of how you do that shit. And it takes a lot of people, like a lot of dudes, to construct such a thing, like a lot. But, you know, making like a more miniature version of something like that and recreating the general process, you get an idea. And yeah, it requires, I forgot how many specifically, you know, it took, you know, like a whole crew, you know, it took, you know, for a pyramid, but I think it was like 11,000 or something like that. A lot of fucking people for like you know, for the whole process, if I remember correctly. And yeah, a lot of shit went to it though, but people did it though. That was human ingenuity, not like aliens or God or gods or anything else. That was people. I mean, frankly, it's just the same shit, and it all leads to just how, frankly, fucking insulting it really is. Because it's just undermining and demeaning the actual ingenuity and creativity and the prowess in a lot of, you know, in a lot of cases, you know, even the empathy and, you know, and in a lot of cases, sympathy that people have for their fellow man and wanting to help each other out. You know, because we're also a very social species. Like, you know, there is, you know, kind of at least, you know, some primal instinct of like, you know, fellow person hurt or fellow person in aid, let's help them and shit. I mean, there's, you know, at least to some degree, not in everybody, I guess. But, I mean, on a general level, most people probably have like a sense of like, that person needs help. Should I help that person? At least the thought comes up. I mean, obviously, they'll probably have to think about it. I do, you know, but nonetheless, most people probably, you know, have that, you know, little neuron in their mind that, you know, boop, hey, you know, should I help this person? Can I help this person? You know, it's like, yes, and all right, yeah, I'll throw, you know, some, you know, pennies in the jar or something like that. Or if this person needs like an extra $5 for gas, well, I guess in this case, like $20 for gas. I mean, it's like, well, I got like, you know, an extra 20 I can spare or whatever. Why not? I understand. Shit's hard. Things are rough. Like, I mean, it's just basic understanding. But, no, let's just undermine all that shit. Let's just basically undermine human psychology, fundamentally. And because of how important and really fundamental that is, and, you know, how we, especially as individuals, perceive the world, I think really that's why I find it so fucking insulting. It's just like, because you just basically are saying, let's just take that away, you know, from the whole picture, even though that's how we fundamentally get a picture. Everything's perceived by our psychology, you know, because our, you know, we analyze things for our perspective and we perceive things from that. And we, you know, and that's like, and how we perceive that is kind of, is determined based on how we, you know, like kind of grow up, or like, you know, the kind of society we grow up and shit, and how we're raised, and different other environmental factors. But it all plays into a part of our psychology, though. So it's just like, I mean, it's just like to basically just disregard that. It's just like basically disregarding like a fat chunk of humanity, not just the species, but just like the sense of it. I mean, honestly, that's what really grinds my gears so much about religion. It's just like kind of really just kind of the disregard of humanity, you know, not just as a sense of a species, but just as a sense of man, really. It's just like, no, we're all just kind of like agents of God in one way, shape, or form, either, you know, as like, you know, ones of judgment, you know, of them being the sinners, or, you know, being their agents, you know, to prophetize further, or, you know, blah, 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 blah. And some don't even know it, and some do. It's like, it's like, oh yeah, nice. We're all just kind of pawns in like some weird narcissistic fucking sophist, you know, that created a little universe around for himself. Neat. Yeah, let me worship that.
Wild.
Here, let me do it. Here.
It just drives me wild.
Yeah, a little bit.
Who to be thankful to, removing, expressing to other people that you appreciate them, not worshiping them, and making people feel validated and like they would want to keep being a good person. It's a good exercise in general. But this idea that they are selling, that you are not worth, that you do not deserve the God who is willing to let so many people die and suffer, that he would barely need to think about. But we can't because it's a test, and then we wouldn't be able to do our test. But God already knows what the outcomes of the test are, and we have to always accept his will. So he actually doesn't even have to make us suffer because he knows which choices we're going to make and could just designate where we're going from there. Or, since he sets the rules, he could just forgive everybody for everything, but his plan includes a way by which a significant number of people will be tortured for eternity, possibly most people.
I mean, you know what's fucked up? Is that he's based, like, there's literally, like, for every little thing that he's mentioning, there's a sect of Christianity that tries to justify basically every little thing he's mentioning there. It's like, oh yeah, like, our sect of Christianity is like, yeah, God has, like, a set of rules, but hey, you know, like, everyone can eventually be, like, forgiven, and it's all okay, you know, type of shit. As long as you just, you know, love him and love Jesus. You know, as long as you can do that, you're good. You know, there's, like, that sect of Christianity. There's the ones that are basically like, I forgot, like, I mean, I forget what all these different names for all of them are, but, like, there's another one that essentially is like, yeah, there's actually, like, a select few who are pretty much, like, predestined to go to heaven, and even those that are in the religion or in the church, you know, even there's a, you know, like, a predetermination. So it's like, even then, it's like, you know, you might, you know, be, like, the most loyal motherfucker in that church, but, you know, if you weren't predetermined, you know, ahead of time before you were fucking born, you know, apparently, you know, by God, because apparently you did something wrong, you know, somewhere down the line, you know, even though you don't know what, because you literally didn't, according to the church in every aspect, because, like, you're literally born, raised, grew up in all nine, this hypothetical motherfucker, like, nope, gone to hell, though. It's like, there's that sect, there's, like, the other one, and there's, like, I mean, it's like, they all have basically like a little, it's like a little specialty brand, basically. It's just like, oh yeah, like, oh, you know, it's like this church is basically saying that, like, no matter what, you know, you'll go to hell unless you pay, you know, but over here, all you have to do is just have, like, a tiny little tidily sum, but, you know, all you have to really do fundamentally at the end of the day is just, like, love Jesus and God and you'll go to heaven. Or, you know, like these other sects, you know, that are far more fanatical and shit. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's like they all are just like their own fucking little off-brand shit. Get the gun. I already have two. But here, hold on. I'll pop this up here real quick. Hello, FBI. My horny ass could not own a daughter. This tweet has been deleted! Oh, you know what? I just honestly processed this. It took me like, I kind of knew the horny ass and daughter part. Like, I knew that part. I processed that, but I just honestly really processed how this is actually fucking worded. Because honestly, like, I just saw that and then I went, wait, yeah, hold on, and actually processed it and went, I just went, okay. Like, it's in my gun case. I really don't want to go for the effort to just fucking try to squeeze it out of it, you know, just to audibly make a point. Because, oh my God, You know, 7.62 wasn't made just for hunting. For protecting your children. Because Jesus Christ.
Loves me so much, but would be willing for me to be tortured forever, for eternity. And I'm not worth his love. It's not enough that God doesn't exist. Again, so much of this channel is dedicated to demonstrating that the Christian God, the Mormon God, the gods that I grew up with don't exist. And that's fine. This isn't that. This is that specific message that I'll leave like this. Boy, isn't it a good thing that God doesn't exist. The universe and life and meaning and purpose would all be far worse if he did. Because that guy, that ethereal man, is a capricious sack of shit. I'm Jimmy Snow. This is Dear Miss.
Based and true. Oh, yes. Damn, honestly, like, yeah, there's a little rant in the end there. When he said he was gonna get a little ranty, I didn't really, I mean, I've seen some of his videos, but none of them really had, like, a rant in it. Like, at least, like, a full-on rant. Like, I'm sure he could get more intense, but, like, I was like, it's kind of spitting a little bit. Like, damn. That's why I need to watch more of his shit, honestly. Like, I love how, like, especially, like, a lot of these more atheistic content creators now, or at least the ones who are very more, like, adamantly and blatantly that, are just, like, well, they're being blatantly that. Like, they're just being more blunt and, if anything, also being aggressive and kind of being, like, the little milady, you know, like, edgelord about it. I mean, not in the traditional, like, edgelord atheist days, you know, type of shit, but it's still there. Like, that energy and that charm is still there. It's just, like, you know, it's evolved like a Pokemon, you know, in a sense. Well, I guess into weird, like, Pokemons, I should say. You got this one, which is that, you know, like the Jimmy Snow, Hunter Avalon, and, like, Pokemon. And then you got, like, the, I mean, do we even qualify it as a Pokemon? Like, some weird amoebic Pokemon-esque, like, flesh thing that is, like, the Sargon types and those weirdos that are just, like, you know, wackaboos. So, I mean, you know, I guess technically it is a Pokemon, because I guess there are, like, amoebic Pokemons, you know, that are, you know, well, very amoebic-like in nature. So I suppose it is a Pokemon, but questionable to even qualify it as such, nonetheless. But, hey. Logic. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, he's still uploading shit. I'm still sub to him, from the looks of it here. Yeah, he uploaded something 2 days ago, and 9 days ago, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, so he's on a somewhat regular upload basis. Doesn't get a lot of views, though, these days, it looks like. Most recent videos, 35K, 34K, 50K, 31K, 41K, 43K, 35, yeah, so, I mean, about, like, the 30 to 50K range. Well, as I go farther back, they go a little higher, but, yeah, so I guess, you know, far back enough, it's more like 40 to 80K range, but, I mean, it's still pretty decent. It's pretty decent, but, you know, probably not like what he was doing, you know, back at more near his peak. But he has 133K subscribers. So, honestly, I mean, that kind of pans out all in all. So, I mean, you know, he's actually doing fairly well. He's kind of, you know, off on the side a little bit, you know, but he's still out there doing his shit. It took me a moment to realize who he was for a second. So I was like, Logic? Who in the fuck? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's just like, because it has been forever since I've, like, seen any of his shit. Like, I mean, because I remember being subbed to him for, like, the longest time, you know, watching his stuff, and then just kind of, boop. Just kind of, you know, just wasn't around after a while, but... Oh, yeah, because, yeah, funny enough, at least YouTube sees the last thing I saw of it 11 months ago. A la Morality Doctor, Zakir Naik, which is a part 1 of multiple parts. I think a 4-parter. So, yeah, it's been a long while since I've seen some of his stuff. Canadian Skeptic, no, not Gregory. I don't think I recognize this one. Armor skeptic flushes skepticism down the toilet 3 years ago. Hates Vadim. That's the first result. But yeah, so. I wonder if Dusty Smith is getting back on religious stuff now. Yeah, I don't know. Probably. Just checking out these old YouTubers now. Well, I guess they're not really old. They're still doing their shit. Chug Freak. Alright, here's his most recent stream, it looks like. Chud's Freak over woke GTA 6. Oh, I heard about that. I actually talked a little bit about that the other day. Oh yeah, this was streamed a day ago. Trump uses Ivana's death for tax evasion. I also kind of heard about that a little bit too. Didn't he basically bury her at like one of his golf resorts and basically did like a triple tax avoidance scheme essentially? Like there's like a sales property and deceased person tax or some shit that or something like that. I don't know. Like there's 3 different taxes he's basically avoiding. Shatner, quote, Star Trek, not political. Well, it looks like this stream, or they did a day ago, he didn't talk about it too much. I guess the Chud's freaking out over the woke thing, but it's not like inherently like a totally religious thing, I guess. Well, this is the stream. 4 days ago, listened one after that, or I guess before that. 9/11 families call Trump Nazis, rally for DeSantis, Swift ego criminal. Chess robot attacks child. Wait, what? A chess robot? Okay, hold on. Alright, wait, where's that in this? Like, where the actual fuck is that in this? I actually want to try to find this. What? It's probably near the end. Is this it? Wait, right here? Is this it? Here, hold on, I want to see. No, doesn't look like it. Bruh, where? What? You just have that in the title, and like I have to skim around and try to find this bitch. Do you have a timestamp? Timestamps. No. Boo. Does the comments? No? Oh my god. Why? Does Dusty's community not know what a timestamp is? Yeah, literally, like, yeah, nobody. Yeah, literally nobody. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Well, okay, some do, but not the weird chess robot. I literally just want a timestamp for Chester. Okay, just literally just a comment that's just nothing but a timestamp, and it does not lead to what I was hoping. God damn it. There's just straight, like, am I being clickbaited? Is there some debate happening? Because I'm not even seeing comments mentioning, like, a chess robot or anything. It's just, like, everything about, like, the Chuds and, I guess, the Vanilla Ice? Oh, boy. Vanilla Ice was mentioned here somehow. Yeah, I'm not finding it. God damn it. Bruh. Bruh. I just want a robot attacking a kid. Like, this is what I promised, and yet I'm denied. Boo. Oh, wait. Oh, I found it. No, I found it. I found it. Yay. Last second, I found it. Chess robot grabs and breaks finger of 7-year-old. It breaks a finger? Bro. Okay. I'm so happy. I was about to abort the mission right there and be like, nah, can't find it. But then I just realized looking at the screen, I'm like, this is it. Yay! Yay! Why am I so gleeful for a poor kid having a finger broken? I feel such like an asshole. I'm so horrible.
I thought I had the video. Let me find the video.
Yes. Oh,
I
I'll...
didn't do this right. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I wish there was a video, and there is a video. There's a total video, and I didn't queue it up. So here we go. Boom.
It's actually looking pretty good with the plaid and shit. Ignore. Like, oh my god, dude. I just realized that basically me being happy there is that, like, just... That's just out of context. That's just some clip right there. I guess as a Twitch chat would spam. Clipped. Clipped and canceled.
Some little kid. Oh, here they are trying to rescue him. A robot broke a child's finger while playing chess.
Oh my god.
The mechanical arm started to clear pieces from the board.
Oh!
7-year-old opponent began playing his next move. Oh, hell no you don't. When the chess robot mistook his finger for a piece.
Mistook the finger for... Dude, robots are rising up. The robots are rising up, dude. And they're attacking our children. They're making sure that the upcoming generation knows, dude. The upcoming generation... Dude, this robot is making the upcoming generation know. It's like... You won't know the true pain of the robot uprisings. This is just the beginning. This robot... That robot is overly competitive? Yeah, very... Evidently. I mean, dude, that robot literally kept moving as the kid was making his moves. Like, honestly, there is probably, like... All kidding aside, this robot's got some problems. Like, there's actually legitimately probably some mechanical problems with this. Because, like, it literally was moving while, like, it made its move. And then, like, the kid was making its move. But it was still moving around and shit. You know, while the kid was making his move. And then it made its move. And then the kid was about to make his move. And then the robot just kept trying to make a move. It's just like, it's just like it was constantly... Shouldn't it be disqualified? Well, I guess it probably would, technically.
Let go! Let go! Eventually, they were able to come by and pry the robot off the little kid, but his finger had been broken. When asked for comment, the robot said, "Checkmate, bitch!"
Checkmate, bitch! Okay, Dusty's alright, so he's alright. Dusty's actually got some, you know, some humor to him still. Well, I frankly not like he lost it, I honestly. Damn. The robot was rented by us, has been exhibited in many places by specialists for a long time. Apparently, the operators overlooked some flaws. You don't say, you dipshit! Yeah, I don't Yeah, I don't think there's any flaws with a robot that broke a finger of a kid because it thought, yeah, like, I'm gonna go hella checkmate on this little son of a bitch.
That's one way to win. Might want to leave the fucking robots alone. And alright, that's my what the fuck.
What the fuck? Yeah, a little bit. What the hell? I mean, alright. I'm actually happy I was able to find it. I just casually, I'm just like, huh. Last thing I see there, chest robot attacks child. I'm like I couldn't at least try to look for it, and now I'm happy I did. I mean, I actually feel bad for the kid. I mean, I hope he has a pretty decent recovery. I mean, breaking a finger, that's pretty fucked. I mean, especially when a robot did it. It's just like, basically just like setting a stone for a reminder in the future for that kid to be like, this is just the beginning. You'll be known as the one who tried to warn them, but they didn't listen. The year was in 2056 is when the bombs fell, after Skynet took over. Just extend the timeline a little bit. Just extend that Judgment Day a little. I mean, it wasn't in the traditional Terminator timeline. It kind of had to be prolonged just a little bit, but hey. Little did he know, this kid will grow up to be basically the equivalent of our John Connor. Wait. So, his mother's probably like a crazy commando psycho bitch too that has like a literal armory of like machine guns, AK-47s, a minigun, grenade launchers, RPGs, mortars, 50 cals, like literally like the equivalent of an actual like military like small army's worth of just shit. It's just like, whoa. I think there's like a Wikipedia page on like the scene of the armory in Terminator 2 alone, just because of like how many fucking guns there are, and just having a list, at least the ones that were seen, you know, on screen, and just like, because there's literally so fucking many of them. And I think a couple of them, I think the minigun wasn't like, I think a few of them weren't actual guns, but basically like, you know, mimic props, or at least, you know, a prop, you know, close enough to look like the real thing that at least in the shot it would look enough like it to where, you know, it would pass basically. You know, so it's just like there's a few I think that, you know, weren't real, but pretty much like the rest of like 99% of them in there are like just like I don't even know what the fuck was all in there. Just all sorts of shit. Definitely AKs, Brownings. I know there was a few fucking what else? I mean, obviously various different AR-15s. Well, I mean, at least AR-15 style guns and shit. What the fuck else? The little thumpers, little I think there were M72s, little 40mm grenade launchers. I saw a few of those in there. What the fuck else? Again, there's just like so fucking many of them. It's just hard to like, you know, really like picture it. Again, it's like literally like a small army's worth. Like, I mean, there's the meme of like, damn, you loading up for an arm, you know, like for a small army. But no, Sarah Connor literally did. Like, she's living like the fantasy of all the freaks that pretty much want to build up an armory like her. But nah, like Sarah Connor tops it. No, like I'm sure there's a few people out there, but I mean, at least in the U.S., but well, maybe elsewhere. But I mean, well, legally at least, I should say. So, you know, having, you know, an army like that, but I mean, unless they have the fuck you money or legally, I mean, chances are no. Sarah's gotten beat. Also, Sarah Connor's kind of a legit badass. And kind of a little bit of a strong woman archetype, too, because she was literally just kind of a stereotypical working class, like, diner lady. But obviously being, you know, part of a bigger, broader timeline, didn't realize that she was potentially going to get whacked by a literal fucking killer cyborg bot. But because, obviously, you know, considering the time, you know, that's not exactly a thing. So she was just seen as crazy and just like, she's just a crazy woman. Send her to the psych ward. But she was just slowly but surely, just kind of like Shaggy, just slowly gaining her power level. And then she broke free. Isn't there a movie with the original actor of her in it? Like, a movie about her specifically? I feel like I remember seeing a trailer for, like, a Terminator movie with her as Sarah Connor again. Just an older version of her. Was it like the newer Terminator movie? I feel like I'm not hallucinating this, because I'm pretty sure I feel like I've seen this. At least a trailer for it. Not so much like the actual movie, because I've kind of fallen at, like, I only really like the first three anyway. Fourth one's okay. But honestly, the like, I mean, the third one's definitely got flaws, but honestly, it's definitely very enjoyable still. I mean, it definitely doesn't compare as much as the other two, but, I mean, it's definitely got its charms, honestly. I mean, the female Terminator that was, like, the antagonist and shit, I mean, honestly, I mean, she was kind of a badass in herself. I mean, she's actually pretty fucking, you know, cool in a lot of ways, and instead of, like, you know, in the second one where you had, like, the antagonist be more like a, you know, like, kind of like a cop figure, you know, using that as, you know, a way to kind of manipulate society, she was kind of using more of, well, her beauty and her looks, you know, as a way to, you know, kind of get through in society to get what she needed to get done. Which she also kind of used a little bit of the cop thing too as well, but that's just for the extra too, for like, I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to make sure I get my shit. Because not only am I an attractive woman, but I'm also a cop. People are definitely going to listen to me. And what in the fuck type of community post meme is this? This is actually haunting. Oh my fucking god, dude. What the fuck? Is this like the first case of like a seal with rabies? Wait, what? The chances of you getting fucking murdered by a seal are low, but never zero? Does it actually, like, honestly, what's fucking freaking me out are those eyes Photoshop, or is it, like, the actual fucking eyes? Because if it is, it's, like, the only seal I will unironically put a fucking, like, goddamn fucking, like a fucking 6.8 Creedmoor in it or some shit, dude. Like, that high caliber is going in this motherfucker. Like, dude, I swear to God, if, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, that bitch right there got rabies, dude. This fucking thing has rabies. Like, what the like, the actual fuck? Like, that's actually, like, disturbing, dude. Ugh. Oh my god. Well, that's gonna be haunting my dreams now. Well, I guess nightmares. I like how someone in the comments of this community post is like, haven't there canonically been like trained killer dolphins before? And yes, there actually have. Someone responds canonically. The response to that is yes, or uses cannon ammunition. What the fuck? Just stuff some fucking dolphins in a cannon and just launch them, you know, as fucking projectiles. We're gonna do a broadside shot. Which load should we load in the cannons? The dolphin shots. But sir, that shot is overpowering. It might decimate the ship. Do it! Aye, aye, Captain. Load the dolphin shots! Oh my god. God, that thing is just legit disturbing. Alright, I'm getting away from that community post. That thing's fucking creepy. I hope the fuck that's just Photoshop, because if so, like, I'm gonna really have a different perspective about seals. Because if their eyes actually can fucking dilate like that, and look like that, and be like, I'm finna eat you. No thank you. I'm gonna take, like, the highest caliber fucking rifle I can find and obliterate. Like, no. And I'm, like, holy sweet Jesus. Because, ugh. Like, if I saw that, like, staring at me in my sleep, I would just, like, my main instinct would just be, like, mag dump. Mag dumping. Nope. Oh, God. Anyway. It's pretty much about line 3 in the morning, looks like here, y'all. So, I think I'll call it good for the last little bit of the evening. Just kind of let that disturbing meme be kind of like the last screen thing we see and just be haunted by that. So, yeah. But anyway, call it good for the rest of the night. So, peace out. And of course, don't let the literal rabid seals with dilated eyes, murder you in your sleep, because, you don't want that in your life. That would suck.